Oh, I spelled that way wrong. Change the topic. 1G, 2 N's. Right? Beginne. Yeah, that's right. I told you guys I was special ed in high school. I didn't try to hide it. I didn't try to hide it. Okay. I'm getting so lean and I want to eat everything all the time. And I can't. And it's hard. So today, in an effort to preserve energy, we're going to talk about some beginner topics. So let me go live on TikTok, and then we shall go live on Instagram. We're already live on YouTube. All right, brand new here. Well, good, because today is for you. So let's Miami person. Let's just start with some really basic questions. I just invited you to join the stage. And I wanted to see if you have any super beginner questions. If not, guys, I'm just going to break this down from a real beginner perspective. So, we talk about the outcome a lot, we show the calls a lot, and we look at other people's deals a lot, but we haven't for probably a month now, maybe more than a month, gone through exactly step by step what it is that we do to make money, the different types of deals. So today, I'm going to break that down because this can all be really complicated. And I get that. I've often described the beginning of real estate and the beginning of wholesaling as kind of a scattered puzzle in your brain, except for you don't have the box that the puzzle came in to break down what that puzzle is going to look like in the future. Right. So today we are going to explain what that looks like. And it's just going to be for beginners. And we'll do a Q&A afterwards, but I'm going to yap for a little bit. We're going to start out by asking this guy if he has any really beginner questions, because the deeper and deeper I get into this business, the harder it is for me to understand the very real conflict that I felt with title companies when I was starting. Title companies were really scary to me when I was starting. And now it's like not even a thought. Like, oh, title company, we'll find one. I don't have to do any of that stuff. We'll just figure it out. So I'm going to break it down from an extreme beginner perspective. And I know some of my advanced members are a little bit like, oh my God, come on, man, I already know this stuff. But hey, you were once in their shoes too. So have a little bit of patience with them and let me go through my thing. But yeah, let's start off with a little icebreaker. We have a brand new member of Hold My Hand Wholesale. And they're going to share their perspective with me, like what are the real questions about this industry? What are the things that I have forgotten in doing this for 5 years? Which, to a certain extent, I'm still a beginner. I'm not like Jerry Norton or Pace Morby, who have been doing this for longer than I've been alive. I did my first deal in 2021, but I often forget some of the basics, and we're going to jump right into it right now. He's going to ask some questions. He or she is going to ask some questions. I don't know what they are, but we're going to let them ask some questions, and then we'll jump into everything, guys, start to finish. So today is the day for y'all to learn how to take action in this business rather than watch me take action in this business and hear about other people's complex deal situations. Can you do it in Carlisle, PA? That is a great beginner question. One of the biggest beginner questions I get is, can I do it here? Can I do it there? Can I do it if I live in New Jersey? Can I do it if I live in New York? I live in Oregon, and there are wholesale restrictions in Oregon. And as such, I don't wholesale in Oregon. And I've never really attempted to wholesale in Oregon before there were wholesale restrictions. I know people who do, but I've always had more luck in the Midwest and the South because the prices are cheaper. And I feel like there's more buyers for cheaper properties. So, that's one of your biggest misconceptions. And one of the main reasons that y'all don't start is you're like, well, I live here and I don't know how I'm going to deal. Bro, I do deals in the Philippines. I'm serious. Not in the Philippines. Like while I'm in the Philippines, I do deals in the United States. But anyways, let's jump into it. This person's username is Miami Person. Hello, Miami Person. I'm guessing you're calling from Miami.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello. Hi.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so I've done like 13 wholesale land deals
Whoa.
successfully. Yeah, JVing land deals, but they were kind of smaller margins. But then yeah, so I figured out I'm going to do wholesale single family, but I had some challenges getting my offer accepted at the deep discount price, and then I came across you, and I think I'd be able to have less risks getting my seller finance offer accepted.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's what I'm doing.
Well, how can we help you, man? What's your name?
Yeah, so I'm in Michigan. I have X leads, and I was thinking about just doing on market MLS listings with low equity. So that'd be a mortgage takeover, right?
Yeah, we can absolutely take over debt and wholesale that position.
Okay, um, so how do I structure? So how do you know how much? You said like $5,000 to $10,000 is like the average profit for a wholesale deal on terms, or
For not necessarily on terms. Terms more so refers to seller financing, and seller financing is like if I
okay,
made you payments for something. For a mortgage takeover, it's literally just a down payment. For the most part, it's just a down payment, and what I mean by that is you are literally just giving somebody a down payment to take over their debt. How do you figure out how much somebody owes on their property? I've never used X leads before, so I can't inform you on how to do X leads. But let's say I
okay,
wanted to, go grab a random property on Zillow, and maybe that property is in Memphis, Tennessee, which is an awesome wholesale market. And maybe it's this property right here. I'm going to put this thing into a website called PropStream, and PropStream tells me what they owe on their mortgage. So I'm going to search that up really quickly here. Can you see my screen okay?
not really, but yeah, I mean, okay, now I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So it says right here, top right screen, that they owe $97,000, and it's also telling me that they owe, or they're asking about 173. So I can see their equity there, and I know what sort of strategy I might want to use on this property. This would be a cash offer because it's not going to make sense to take over a mortgage of 97K when they're asking 170K, because they're going to need $70,000 to take over the debt. And taking over mortgages is all about being below the terms of the bank. Does that make sense? The bank wants 20% down at 7% interest. Putting down 70K on a 170K purchase is way more than 20%. And we haven't really created an appealing opportunity for an investor because, well, the bank, quite frankly, offers better terms than that? So as far as structuring a mortgage takeover, it's more so I about identifying the right deal, identifying the right financial position rather than making a mortgage takeover on any property. A property like this one, again, it doesn't make sense to take over the mortgage for a number of reasons. Actually, this individual has a mortgage payment that's quite frankly a building or
So the
construct.
mortgage is 70,000. Does it say 70,000? You said,
Can you see my screen?
really? What does it say? 87 or what is it? Like
Is my screen share not working? Let's
I gotta say that.
let's see in the
Oh
chat,
my
guys. Is
god.
my screen share not working? Looks like it's working just fine. Okay, so do you see where my mouse is right now? I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah, 97. Now I see it. Yeah, 97. Okay, and what was it listed for? It was listed for.
they have an asking price of 173,000 right now.
Okay, so mortgage would not be the offer to it'd be a cash offer.
Yeah, because I just
Okay.
don't. I'm thinking if I spend 70K on this property, man, I could buy a much, much, much more expensive property. And also the type of loan that they have is just not something I'd like to take over. It's a building and construction loan, and a building and construction
Yeah.
loan is only 12 months long, and it has high monthly payments, high interest rate. And if I took this over, well, I'd literally just have a headache. So there's no value in this property's mortgage. Sometimes mortgages are inherently valued because of low interest rate, or maybe the seller's willing to hold the note for us, meaning that they'll carry the mortgage while giving us their title. And that's valuable because you don't have to qualify for your own loan. You're taking over somebody else's loan while still being the owner of the property. So if you guys have ever had to go through the qualification process to buy real estate before, big, big, big headache. And you dodge that with creative finance. But we don't just want to take over any loan. It has to be a loan that cash flows, meaning that the mortgage is below what the house rents out for. And if it doesn't cash flow, it has to have a beautiful, beautiful interest rate. And if it has a high interest rate and no cash flow, there's really only one thing we can do if they're low equity, meaning they're not going to make any money on the sale. And that would be to take over the debt for zero. And the reason that that could be a deal with no cash flow and a super high interest rate is, well, think about yourself. If I found a house in your city and I got it for $0 down, as we see me do almost every single week, well, I could go to you and I could say, hey, what if you gave me 5K and you own this house, no qualification, no nothing, just 5K down? And the thing there is now we're selling to a retail buyer, somebody who wants to live in the property. And that can be valuable for the retail buyer, because where are you going to get 5K down on a 500K house with no qualification? Not really attainable anywhere, but possible if you get a seller to agree to $0 down.
Okay. I think I'm following. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, any basic questions about the group? You're already a seasoned wholesaler with 13 deals. I mean, that's awesome. Sounds like you're doing this full time.
Yeah, I haven't done any seller finance deals yet, so I've done land deals, but
yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. I've done like one land deal before, but I'll let you know, probably 70 to 80, maybe even 85% of the deals that we do in Hold My Hand Wholesale are still cash deals. Creative finance is simply a tool that we have to solve certain scenarios. A cash offer is always the first thing I look at, but if it's not feasible, I might pivot to creative finance, trying to balance the seller's expectation with the buyer's expectation. And what do I mean by balancing seller and buyer expectations? Well, what is the buyer's expectation when they're buying a 173K property? 1, cash flow. 2, probably a $45,000 down payment with closing costs. And 3, a qualification process. But let's focus on the down payment first and foremost. The buyer wants to put, or will have to put, 45K down. Does it make sense for them to put down 90K with my fee and closing costs? Well, no, they could put down less with the bank. But understanding the seller's expectations, they need that 70K to take over the debt. So balancing seller and buyer expectations. Seller's going to expect to make 70K. Buyer's expecting to put down 45K on a purchase like this. So it really doesn't align. They're massively different positions here. However, the buyer might like this house at a discount and the seller might be willing to take a discount. So I know the strategy for this property is more so a cash offer. But does the buyer actually want this property if I make a cash offer? Well, that comes down to the use of the property. What is the use of the property? Well, now that comes down to the condition of the property. Looking at this house right now, the use of the property is pretty clear. It's probably a rental. It doesn't look like it's in bad condition. It looks like it could be a rental property, but is it a good rental property? Well, now that comes, you see, there's this chain that I follow in my head that we try to develop for you. So we know here that it's not a good mortgage takeover. It would be better for a cash offer. If it's a cash offer, is this something the buyer actually wants? Well, that's going to come down to, are we flipping the house or are we renting the house? We know that we're going to be renting the house here because it's already in good condition. It doesn't really need a fix and flip. For a 179K house, that's not bad condition at all. But does the buyer want it? Well, that comes down to cash flow now. Is this something I can get a discount on that makes sense for a buyer? Well, if we know they're going to rent it out, what matters in a rental is, what's the rent of the property? What's the mortgage of the property? So the rent of the property here, $1,600, $1,800, let's find out. Ooh, devastating. $1,200. So it's interesting, as property values go up, rent doesn't necessarily follow. One would think that a 400K property rents out for more than a 500K property, but honestly, not necessarily. And honestly, a 200K property and a 400K property also might rent out for similar amounts. Well, a 400K is generally going to rent for more. I should say a 600K property and an 800K property, same rent, no difference. So, as value goes up, rent starts to follow it. Like starting at 50K, rent starts to follow it. And then slowly that line of rent, the bottom one being rent, starts to flatline as value goes up. And then you look at it and it's like, well, I've got a $2 million property and I've got an $8 million property. Is there any difference in rent on these? No, because nobody's going to rent it. It's all, and everybody's going to buy at that price point. Now, this particular property, this is a terrible deal. There ain't no solution for this whatsoever. Honestly, only way this could sell is for a retail buyer. Do you know why that might be the case?
It's not fix and flip. It's in good condition.
Well, that good condition doesn't necessarily mean a retail buyer might buy it or an investor might buy it. But do you know why an investor wouldn't buy this property?
Cash flow doesn't.
That's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head of the hammer. Or if I said that right, that's exactly right. Because what would you imagine a mortgage might be on 180K? Well, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm going to guess 180K mortgage is going to cost $1,200 per month. And then with taxes and insurance, maybe we're closer to $1,450, $1,500. Let's find out. $180,000, $36,000 down payment, 7% interest rate. Okay, I was a little off. It's not $1,200. It's $958. And then we add our taxes and insurance, which Zillow will lie to us about those. Zillow is saying home insurance is $60. No, closer to $125. And then they're telling me that the taxes on this property are closer to 200. I believe that. I own in Memphis. I believe 200. So yeah, the payment's 1283 and the rent is 1279. And the down payment requirement is 46K with your closing costs. So does it make sense for a buyer to drop $46,000 to lose money every month? No. So who's the only person who could buy this property? Somebody to live in it, because a house is a place to live before it's an investment. So the only person who could buy this property is somebody who would live in the property. And yeah, okay, yeah, maybe they'll find that. A house is not in great condition, but I think they might find it, and I respect them shooting their shot at trying to find it. Now I see some issues here. We have exposed wood, so they're going to have a hard time, and there's really nothing I could do to help this individual. I wouldn't make an offer on it, period. I mean, I guess we could have an equity play offer, and an equity play offer is a deal that just doesn't make any money. It makes no money monthly. It's not a fix and flip. However, if we got this thing for 100K, yeah, it doesn't cash flow, but the house is worth closer to 180K, and now you've bought a property with significant equity in it. Is what you were saying on your website true? I say a lot of things online, man. You got to elaborate. So let's jump into breaking down all the types of deals that we do, but that's one analysis for one deal. As you can see, it's kind of like a scattered puzzle piece in your brain, or a scattered puzzle in your brain of, well, how does a retail buyer connect to creative finance, and how does creative finance connect to rent, connect to fix and flip, connect to condition, connect to interest rates, connect to, it's like, whoa, there are so many different factors here that let us know what strategy to use. But the more and more and more we show up to live streams like this, and the more we consume real estate content, whether it's construction content, because you're not just, you're going to run into a plethora of issues. You may want to learn about what it takes for a buyer to buy a rental, what it takes for a buyer to build a new construction, and understanding these things through showing up and showing up and showing up. Eventually, you get a perfect picture in your head of, this is the real estate investing landscape that we live in. And this is exactly what an investor would like to do to this property. And this is exactly what a seller would like to do to this property, or like to have happen for this property. And if we can connect these two expectations, and we know that this property will be used for this purpose, well, perfect. We know exactly which strategy to use, which is vague. And today I'm going to try to break that down.
The mortgage takeover, I was on your TikTok. So for mortgage takeover, that applies to low equity, or they're not coming out of pocket after realtor commissions. They have like little out of pocket, and that your down payment you're giving them is more.
Oftentimes,
is that where it's more attractive, that offer, and they say yes?
Oftentimes, yeah, we have a property that's not going to make any money whatsoever, and that's our mortgage takeover. In other scenarios, we may be taking over debt, and there's that gap, the 70K gap in the deal that we just looked at right here, where they owe 97 and they're asking 70K gap. So another potential very creative structure might be, well, what if I can take over your debt, and what if I can make you monthly payments for the equity that I didn't give you? Right? That could also be a scenario, but again, comes down to cash flow. Do I have room to make you those monthly payments based on the use of the property, what it will rent out for, right? Dude, you're doing mortgage fraud to owners. Stop forcing them to be a bank. They don't want it. I wonder. We have a great video of a homeowner on the phone saying, I just want somebody to take over my mortgage. I will just walk away from the deal, and I'll hold the mortgage, and I'm fine. Man, my prayers would be answered if somebody takes over my mortgage right now. And that's one of my past 10 videos that I've posted. So I'm wearing a red tank top on my page. And if you scroll down to 10 videos, what you find is that there's a seller who's literally begging me to take over their debt. But is your perspective kind of like, not you, the other person in my comments, is your perspective kind of like, when I run into a seller who's about to lose their house and they're going to be homeless and they really want me to take over their debt so that they're not homeless? Your perspective is kind of like, say no to that person. And then just to continue down this path, because I just love dunking on people like you. I have a house in San Antonio, Texas. I'm underwater on my mortgage, and it does not rent out for a profit. I owe exactly what the house is worth. In fact, I owe more than the house is worth. I have the mortgage in my name. It's my seller finance note, right? And I can't rent it out for a profit. The address is 9711 Chelsea Circle in Selma, Texas. and I'd really like any of you guys to take over my mortgage and I'll hold the mortgage. Is that mortgage fraud as the actual seller who needs this service? The pause is for emphasis. See, when I pause right there, you're supposed to be like, "Oh shit, that's embarrassing." All right, now chat. Let's just put this in the TikTok chat where this hater was. Am I right or is he right? Who's right? Who's right? Let us know, because my perspective is I'm a seller in this position. I talk to sellers who really, really, really need my help when they're about to lose their house to the bank, which makes them unbankable, meaning that they can't actually ever get a mortgage again, and this allows them to get mortgages again. But you're saying it's fraud. And then I'm also thinking to myself, I'm in this position and I really want this to happen to myself. But are you saying I shouldn't have the right? I'm just trying to understand, man. I'm just trying to understand. So my thinking is you're not actually concerned with whether or not it's mortgage fraud or whatever it may be. I'm thinking it just upsets you to see me winning. Anyways, we're going to break down this rate now. And thank you so much, Miami person. We'll bring you up later if you have any more questions. But today we are going to break down the very, very basics of wholesaling real estate. This is wholesaling for dummies. And we oftentimes cover some advanced topics and we look at deals and we don't exactly explain where the deals came from or how to talk to the realtors. So I wanted to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours today to not answer a ton of questions and honestly just break down what wholesaling is and the strategies that we use, because wholesaling is this massive umbrella term of, well, wholesale. And what is wholesale? Well, it's what Costco does. They get a product from somebody else and they upcharge it for a fee, right? So wholesale doesn't really exactly answer the question of what it is that we're doing. So there's some particular strategies that we go through, and 3 different types of deals that we use to effectively collect checks like these guys right here. How much are checks generally? Well, this one's $7,500. 7,500. It's actually one half of the deal. The other half of the deal was also 7,500. So it's a $15,000 deal. But checks may also be a bit bigger. This one's for $66,000, right? And it's not something that I needed to use money to create. And I've probably got about 30 of them right here that we've gotten over the past year or so. I've just been kind of letting them stack up on my desk. And there's all different types of strategies that we use to cultivate these checks. Sometimes it's a cash offer. Sometimes it's an offer with monthly payments. And sometimes it's an offer to take over somebody else's debt, as we just touched on. But I'm going to start from the real basics, real basics. I've used this analogy a number of times. At its root, at its core, this is what I do. Imagine that you're a kid again, and you are sitting on the stairs, as we all did, listening to our parents have a conversation, hopefully not about us. And you overhear them saying, "Hey, honey, sweetie, boo bear, it's time to buy a new property. It really is time to buy a new property." And I think our budget is $400,000. They live in Texas, say San Antonio, Texas, and they really want to pay $400,000. But 400,000 is really pushing the envelope for them. They can barely afford it, right? So they say, "Hey, well, we should get ourselves a realtor who is able to help us make an offer on that property." And before they hire the realtor, you just go on Zillow and you call 50 of those people who have the 400K houses for sale, right? And you find one that's willing to sell for 340K. You know, they've been sitting there for 100 days. You said, "Hey, we could do 340K on something like this." And they said yes. To your surprise, they said yes. The next morning, you come downstairs, you're feeling all good about yourself, and you say, "Mom and Dad, I heard that you're looking to buy a house. How much you want to pay?" They say 400. So you show them the property that you found, and you said, "Hey, I got this thing for 340, and I signed a contract with the seller. I'm the contract holder right now." Let's just say that you're a 17-year-old that can sign a contract. Well, we have had 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 12-year-olds do deals here. But let's just say you sign the contract with the realtor, right? And you tell your parents, "I'm under contract. I have the right to close on this right now, but I'll give you my contract at 350. I got it at 340. What if you paid 350? Are they going to be like, "I can't believe you've done this"? Well, wait, whoa, slow down. You just took hours and hours of your time to find a discount. You're saving them 50, yes, 50,000 on their mortgage that they otherwise would have had to pay. Now their fee, your fee, because you're the contract holder at 340, and they're buying it at $350, do they have to give you $10,000 in cash? No. Their lender is paying for the purchase price. Your parents don't have $350 liquid, dog. They don't. So what do? They get a mortgage, and the mortgage covers that $10,000 fee that you're to be paid. I want the whole chat to answer. Would it make sense for mom and dad to pay $350 instead of $400? Why am I asking this? Of course it would make sense for them to pay $350 instead of $400. So you effectively spent your time, energy, and effort to call 50 of these houses until one of them was willing to sell for $340. And then you went to your parents and you said, "Hey, I've got this for you at $350." You have done them a great service. You haven't scammed them. You haven't taken anything from them. There's more opportunities if they don't like that one, but you've also saved them $50,000. Did you have to spend any money? Do you have to spend any money for that? No, you picked up your phone and you started calling or texting or emailing. There's no money to be spent there. You're simply making offers. That's all you're doing. So, at the root of this business, the value that we are so heavily paid to provide is we have the time and know how to look for what the buyers are looking for and then get it for them at a discount, whether that discount is on the purchase price, on the down payment, on the interest rate, or perhaps it's a convenience thing of the property already being under contract and us not having a qualification process, right? With creative finances, we said there's no need to qualify. So we use multiple strategies to attain multiple different types of discounts. Is real estate your full-time job? I wouldn't say that. No. I call for about 2 to 3 hours a week. Chat, what would you say? How many hours a week do I actively call? Because I yap a lot. What do you think? Like 3 to 4 hours of like active, like here's one, let me call. Here's one, let me call. Here, I'd say like 3 to 4 hours of like active, let me call. And that yields me probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 deals a month. So I don't really have a full-time job, guys. I stream here a number of hours each day. And then when I'm done, I go to the gym, I play pickleball, I eat a pint of ice cream on the couch and watch TV. I'm loving Game of Thrones right now, by the way. So no, I don't really have a full-time job. And honestly, Hold My Hand Wholesale is positioned such that I'm not going to teach you how to make 100K a month. I'm really not. I mean, you might get there one day with real estate. What I'm going to teach you to do is to reclaim your time. And I'm going to teach you how to make doctor money too. But if you want the 10 million per year, I'm so sorry. This is not exactly what that is. Do you want the 500K per year? And then potentially you only work, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 hours per day, right? How could 500K per year work? How could that be possible? Well, 500K per year is probably about 5 or 6 fix and flips that you don't run yourself, and it's a number of wholesale deals and some rental properties. That's it. And it's just we're just not going to use all of our time. We're just not going to use all of our time. We're going to spend time with our family and our friends and traveling and living and having a virtual job that we can do from anywhere. And that's the goal here, right? And the reality is it's only going to work for about 5% of people who try. And it's like, holy shit, then this business model is not very good. Well, how many people try fitness? How many people does fitness work for? How many people in the United States have visible abdominal muscles? We know everybody wants it, but how many people do? I would argue 10%, maybe 5%, right? So that's the reality. Only 5% of people can do this because only 5% of people can motivate themselves to go to the gym each day, even though it's not going to take all their time, right? The Planet Fitness model is always a really, really good explanation of this. I mean, 10 million members, maybe, I'm guessing, I don't know, but 10 million members, maybe 5 million members. How many are in shape? Not very many. I've got a Planet Fitness membership myself. I go there when I travel, and there just is no other gym that I'm aware of. But that's the reality. That's the odds of this. So if you think you have what it takes, I'm not going to charge you an arm and a leg to find out if you have what it takes. Hold My Hand Wholesale will always be $20, and it still is $20. All right. That's my motivational yap. That's to let you know what the odds are. Now we're going to get into some actual details. Now I see some objections in the chat. I don't have a US number. How is Yusuf from Egypt closing 35K this month? How is he doing it? Let's speak to him really quickly. Is he here? He is here. Let's ask him really quickly. I just have to ask. I must ask because Yusuf lives in Egypt. English is his second language. He's never been to the United States before. He doesn't have like family in the United States. So how is he doing this? Yusuf, let's ask. Let's hear your accent. Come on up, Yusuf. Come on up. It's not letting me bring you up because Discord's bad. Come on up. There we go. Let's find out. Yusuf, we got a lot of people. Can I do this from Poland? Can I do this from the Netherlands? What you're in Egypt, which is arguably a harder place to be than Poland or the Netherlands. What do you use to call or to email people?
I use email to email people, and I use to call. I use Quo or phoned.
Quo
is better though and cheaper. Yeah, Quo. Yeah, I guess.
Quo or phoned. Thank you, Yusuf. And how much do you have in closing this month? Is it still 35? Did it go up? Did it go down?
No, it's about 45,000 right now, or 42,000. I'm not sure. EMD submitted for the 3 properties that I talked to you about, and I just got like a 1,400 rent tenant occupied property for 78,000. Joseph is interested for it at 78,000. So yeah, I believe about like 45,000, 42,000.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. We'll talk. Okay, so we'll do more questions later, but I just want to let you know your excuses are only valid to you. Your excuses are not valid. I don't care how old you are. I don't care where you are. I don't care about any of it. Your excuses are nice, comforting excuses for you and for you alone. And that's part of why 5% of people will succeed. Sorry. It's on you. You know, I got a lot of people who like to say it's on me, but it's on you at the end of the day. Anyways. Okay, so we're gonna jump into it. We've already given you the basics of like what the hell is this business? How do we get paid? And y'all understand. We get discounts on properties. We get what about Nigeria? Well, Yusuf is also in the continent of Africa. Egypt is in Africa. And my fix and flip 13605 Tacoma Street in Detroit, Michigan was found for me by a homeless man in Nairobi, Kenya. And that's the last objection I'm going to handle. Let's jump in. Okay. So, first things first, I think that if you are starting wholesaling and you're starting real estate, wholesaling is perhaps the best place that you can start. We have so many people becoming realtors nowadays, and they're all servicing the same people. And the market for realtors, what they're serving is honestly, it's saturated as hell. It's extremely saturated. I mean, how many realtors do we get per year, knowing that it's like a 2-month course to become a realtor? So many realtors. And with Chat GPT allowing us to cheat on our realtor exams, oh my God. We got so many people who are becoming realtors, and they're all servicing the same people. All of them are servicing the same people. I mean, it's impossible for you not to know a realtor in your life. Every single person here knows a realtor. How many people know a wholesaler though? And then who do the wholesalers serve? The wholesalers serve the people who purchase 11,000 houses per day in the United States. There's so much volume going around that we could never be oversaturated because there's such a massive need. And then so many investors don't even know about wholesalers. They only know about realtors. And when they find a wholesaler, it's just like, oh, perfect. We love that. So starting off within wholesaling, what's the first thing that I would do? Well, let's talk about just an introduction rather than trying to get our deal on day one. I think that you should identify ugly properties on Zillow. That's it. I'm a big proponent as a former Division I athlete of doing a little bit per day so that you can still come back tomorrow and do it again. My coach always told me that if I trained really, really hard in a day, I did rowing in college, but if I trained really hard in a day, mentally, I'd be so scarred from that training process that I just wouldn't really want to come back and do it again. So I really want to start you out slow. I want to start you out extremely slow. And if you've never done any of this before, well, one of the biggest things you could do in this business is, well, why don't we just find an ugly house? Because that's the root of this industry. It's the core. The core of this is ugly houses. So what I would do is I would go on Zillow and I'd find an ugly house. Then what am I doing? Well, I'd like to see if that house could be renovated for a profit, right? How many houses are on Zillow, by the way, right now? About 1.4 million. About 1.4 million properties on Zillow. So if I'm brand new here and I haven't taken the courses yet and I want to do something productive, right? Well, let's find an ugly house. Let's work on that. Now, what do I mean by finding an ugly house? I'll show you right now. Everybody put their hometowns in the chat. Put your hometowns in the chat. Where are we from? Where are we from? Where are we born? Let me go ahead and share my screen and show you guys exactly what I mean by finding an ugly property that's on Zillow already. I'm going to flip my camera really quickly for TikTok, and all right, I see Atlanta, Georgia. I see in Atlanta, Georgia. Great. I'm a landlord in Atlanta. I like Atlanta. And what do you know? One of the first houses I see is kind of ugly. Yeah, the first house I saw, well, that's kind of ugly. That looks, whoa. That's a rough looking property if I don't say so myself. Instagram probably wants to see too. Instagram, you want to see? Now I'm going to continuously share my screen with these people and hold my hand wholesale. This is this ugly ass gross property I found in Atlanta, Georgia. And you know what? It didn't actually take me that long. It looks like it's the very first property for sale on Zillow. Well, look at that. The very first property for sale is a hideous property. Now, you want to know something interesting about ugly properties? Retail buyers can't buy them. They can't. They can't. If you're a retail buyer, meaning somebody who intends to live in the property, you can't get a loan on an ugly house. The FHA loans, the conventional loans, those require inspections on the property. They don't want to lend on a property that's in terrible condition. And by the way, am I in Atlanta, Georgia right now? No. Have I been to Atlanta? No. Do I know Atlanta? No. Do I know anybody in Atlanta? No. Do I have connections there? No. Do I need money to do this? No. Do I need a license? No. Again, no objections. You have no objections. There are no objections. You can do this. So I found myself an ugly house in Atlanta. Now what? Now what am I doing? Well, I'm going to zoom in. And what am I going to figure out? Well, I think it could be easy to compare this to the stock market. Why do you buy a stock? I should have finished my point. Only investors can buy this property. But why do you buy a stock? Why does an investor buy a stock? An investor buys a stock because there's evidence that that stock is valuable by other purchases. Other people have bought the stock, which has driven the value of the stock up, and there's evidence. So in real estate, what's our evidence? People say potential returns, but how do you know there's potential? How do you know there's returns? Well, your evidence is shown on your phone screen by the market and the little line that goes up or down and the volume of people purchasing that stock. Sorry, I'm not a stock guy, so I'm probably saying some dumb shit right now, but you got evidence that a stock might be valuable, right? Some people are telling me the screen share isn't working. I'm going to reshare my screen. The evidence that you have in real estate that real estate might be valuable are the comps, which are comparable properties. They're comparable properties that have sold around that house, close to that property, specifically within about 0.25 to maybe 0.5 miles. So, we want to see that if we put money into this property, just like if we put money into that stock, it's going to go up in value, right? And how do we know if it's going to go up in value? Well, we literally just want to know. All we want to know is, have other people renovated and sold houses for a profit here? Have they? Not necessarily. Some places it may be an ugly house, but maybe nobody wants to live there. Maybe it's an ugly house for a reason. We've all driven through one of those neighborhoods where it's like, oh my God, if we had a nice house in this neighborhood, what a weird eyesore it would be. Like, we're surrounded by terrible properties and there's just one nice house. I don't want to raise my kids there. And that's what matters. Do you want to raise your kids there? And it's not whether you want to raise your kids there. It's all about, does the investor who flips this think that if they flip this property, it's a nice enough area for somebody to want to raise a family and sink money into their finished product, right? I got a deal locked up. How do I send it to you? Well, I'm going to do a Q&A after this and hold my hand wholesale. You're welcome to join via the link in my bio. It's the first one. All right. We found our ugly property. Let's look for our evidence now. So I'm sharing my screen with the people who want to learn how to do this. They're in Hold My Hand Wholesale. We have about 230 live viewers right now, and I'm about to look for my evidence. So I can see that the property is kind of next to this highway here. So I'm going to draw in between this highway area because that's our neighborhood. So for those who are curious, like what that looks like, well, my property that I'm looking at, which we'll refer to as subject property, is about right here. And I've drawn this little pattern around it to illustrate where I'm going to be looking for deals. And I'm just using Zillow. I'm not using some sort of software. I'm just using Zillow right now. So your step one should be find an ugly property. Your step two should be draw around that property and find the evidence that we would otherwise have in another investment like the stock market or gold where we can see the activity of people buying it because it's recorded online. Well, real estate's no different, guys. Real estate's no different. So I'm going to click apply on my filter, and I'm not looking for other houses that are for sale in that area. I need them to be sold. I need other people to have pulled the trigger on that investment, not just listed on eBay for a certain asking price, right? Because everybody knows you can list any item for any price. Everybody knows that, guys. But if it sells, that illustrates value. So we're going to have to look at sold comps, and we're not looking at comps that have sold in the past 5 years. Real estate is an ever-changing market. Different interest rates, different factors impact whether people are buying. So we need to look in the past year. And what we're hoping to find in this is we want to find something that is similar. Well, what do I mean by similar? We are a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot ranch. What does that mean? Well, you got 3 bedrooms, you got 2 bathrooms, you've got 2,000 square feet, and we're a ranch. Does a ranch mean it's on a literal ranch? No. A ranch style house is that long United States house that we see almost everywhere. It's not a 2-story, it's a 1-story long house. Probably a lot of you grew up like that. It's one of the most common types of houses in the United States. Another type might be a bungalow, but this is a ranch. So we want to look for another ranch in the area that is potentially sold for a higher price that is also around 2,000 square feet. So I'm going to look at sales in the past 12 months, and I'm going to price them high to low. Now, I do see a property. I do see a property that's sold, but you gotta be honest with me, guys. Is this the same type of house? There's this one right here. Does that look like us? I don't know, man. I don't know. I look at this guy right here. This guy is us. Does that property we just looked at that's sold in the same area, does that really look like what we are? Nah, that's different, guys. That's different. So that's a much nicer property. So we can't compare apples to oranges. You know what I mean? We can't compare this property here to the property that we were just looking at. What were we just looking at? We're just looking at 180,000. Now I got a lot of people in the chat saying we can't see anything. We can't see anything. But you know who can see something? These 250 people in my stream right now. So it may come as a surprise to you, but do you know why I'm spending my Monday like this? I'm marketing to you. Oh, there goes everybody's interest in learning the business model. I'm marketing to you right now. So what I'm doing is I'm talking about something that you know you can make money from, and I'm selling access to my screen share. That's part of how I make my money. I sell access to my screen share and Q&A. So from this point forward, I'm not going to be flipping my camera as much on TikTok and Instagram. I'm just going to be talking to these guys because, oh, you caught me. I am marketing something to you for $20 to see my screen share and ask questions and run through our courses. You can be mad at me, but that's what I'm doing. I thought I'd just get it out of the way. Anyways, that link is in my bio. I'm going to get back to this. But you can listen to it as a podcast for free. So as I look around here, okay, well, here's a ranch. This is pretty much a ranch. It does have 2 stories, but it's like a we call it a split level. This is a split level. One side has 2 stories. The other side has 1 story, but this is a true ranch. We got a 3-2, 1,300 square feet for $230K. Nice. We got another one for $330K split level. Okay. So we know that if we're around 2,000 square feet, we might sell for about $300K. And I can see that they're asking about $180K. How much money does this property need? Well, I should say a better question is, if we buy this property for $180K, which is their asking price, are we going to make money? Maybe a little bit. It'll sell for 300 where they're asking 180. An investor could buy it for 180 right now. So an investor buys for 180, but really that's 190 with closing costs. Now you bought it for $190,000, right? You earn it for $190K, and now you got to bring the rehab money to the table, or more so your lender does. Because remember, if you're in real estate, you don't bring your rehab money to the table. The lender brings your rehab money to the table. So you got interest and you got costs associated with that. And I'm going to venture to say that this property needs a full rehab. And I think a full rehab here could be like, it's down to the studs in some rooms, man. It's really down to the studs. And I can see it's also that split level. It does have a downstairs. So ARV truly will be $300,000. ARV meaning after repair value. Man, I'm going to guess that this could be like a $70K job, maybe like an $80K job, maybe even more than that. We're in Atlanta. Rehabs are nice in Atlanta. Atlanta is kind of the Los Angeles of the South, some people might say. Obviously not that expensive, but it is a nice area. So we got to do a nice rehab on this. And honestly, if that rehab costs me $80K, which it definitely could. I mean, the roof alone is going to be $12,000, $13,000. The interior alone could be much more. And then there could be substantial issues with it. We don't really know until we send the contractor in. So if that rehab is anywhere around 80K, man, let's do the math. How does that sound, guys? You buy for 179, which is 180K. You put in $10,000 in closing costs. There's not really two ways around that. You put in your 80K rehab budget. Now you're in it for 270. Well, good news. It'll sell for 300. But don't people negotiate? Don't sometimes people offer below 300K if you're asking 300? Yeah, all the time, right? That's what I said you could do for your parents, right? Offer them below their asking price. So, but let's say somebody gives you 300. Wait a second. How do we get the 300K price? That's what the comp will sell for, but how do we get that price? Do we just know somebody who wants to buy it? Any idea? How do you sell the property for 300K? Do we know somebody who's going to pay 300K if we're a flipper? I mean, if we did, chances are they bought another property. How many houses do they need, right? We don't actually know somebody who's going to pay 300K. So what do? Well, we're going to hire a realtor. Y'all know how much realtors cost? How do we find a buyer? That's a good question. How much do realtors cost? 6%. Holy shit, 6%. So if we sell for 300K, the realtor's taking $18,000 and we're in it for 270. Yeah, man, I'm going to be real. If I do a job on this property, I'm going to make 12K at my asking price. 12. Does that sound like it's worth it? A 4-month project for 12K? No, dude, no. So what can we do? Well, the investor is going to walk away and find the next deal. But what could we do? Any light bulbs? What could we do to get paid to make this work? What could we do? I have an idea. The realtor's phone number is right there. Somebody says lease. Are you guys going to rent this thing out in terrible condition like this? How the hell do you find a tenant that wants to live as a homeless person? I see it right there. Somebody says offer way less than asking price. Then Eddie says spend money. Why are we going to spend money if the deal doesn't work at their asking price? Didn't we just establish that spending money causes us to make no money? What is spending money going to do? Somebody says offer way less than asking price. Somebody says negotiate a lower price than the purchase. Buy it at an even lower price. Now, I got a question for you. What's going to happen if we offer the seller below their asking price? Do they normally like that? Is the seller going to feel warm and fuzzy if we call them and say, hey, I know you're looking for 180, but how about 120? Are they going to like that? I'm not going to try to lie to you. No, they're not going to like that shit. What does assuming their loan do? That doesn't help. They're not going to like it if I offer below their asking price. And that's where I get paid. I get paid because I do something that other people don't want to do or don't know how to do. And what is that? Well, this is a good property to flip. It really is a good property to flip. The rehab doesn't look like the worst thing in the world. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't look like the worst thing in the world. I have to call probably 20 of these people, just like I said, that if you found out your parents wanted to buy, you got to call 20 people, 50 people, 60 people until one of them is willing to see a reason. And what do I mean by seeing a reason? Well, as I said, first and foremost, you can't buy this with a retail loan. Retail buyers care very little about value. They care everything about the condition of the property and what it looks like, right? This cannot be bought with a retail loan. It has to be bought by an investor. And if an investor buys it right now, they make no money on the sale at their asking price. So it has to go to an investor. The seller knows it has to go to an investor. And the neighbor's house sold for 300 and it's bigger than this property significantly. So what do I mean by see reason? Well, literally see reason. The seller is looking for a sucker. A sucker is somebody who buys an investment and loses money on the sale because they're so brand new that they don't know what they're looking for. But real buyers, they need a real discount. And a real discount is anything that you can make money on that makes it worth your time, because I don't think it's worth it to do a 4-month project for 12K. So this seller is under the impression that the house will sell for 400K, but that's not the stock value of this property. You know what I mean by the stock value? It's just not the value of this property. we look at the after repair value, it's very clearly 300, 315K. And we're very clearly in the deal for 100 or 280K with 6% coming out of the sales price for the realtor fee. So the way that I could generate one of these, this was part one of a $15,000 check that we got. The way that I could generate one of these is I could call enough of these people and I could explain my position and say, this is the offer that I'd like to submit. And if they say yes to that offer, well, what could I do? Well, I could send it to a real estate investor for a fee. How do we find investors though? I think we all understand that, right? I think I did a halfway decent job at explaining, what the problem is, how we can solve the problem, and how we can get paid for the problem. We understand that people buy houses thousands of times every single day in the United States. It's not that there's a shortage of people who want to buy these houses. It's that this is a shitty deal. By the way, Instagram, every single time I start to provide value, Instagram bans my audio and cuts me out entirely. If that happens, let me know. I'll restart the live stream and you can hop right back on. So I'm going to have to call 20 or 30 people like this. And if I do call 20 or 30 people like this and I get somebody to say yes, shit, man, I'm looking at 15,000, 20,000. I'm serious. $20,000 on a deal like this, because I just created an opportunity where the person who buys this property can make 80,000, 70,000, depending on what price I offer here, right? So I call the realtor and what do? Do I just give them the offer? Nah, I'm going to talk them through it, and we'll actually do some live calls here just to show you what to do. But I'm going to talk them through it. I'm going to say, hey, I'd love to buy this at 180K, but if I buy it at 180K, I'm in it for 190 just with closing costs. My contractor looked at the photos, said that it needs 80K. Your neighbor's house sold for 300K. Are you guys only willing to sell this to an investor who loses money on the sale? What am I saying there? What does that really say? What that really says is, are you serious? Are you guys just, are we just on Zillow to be on Zillow? Or do you actually want to talk business? Because right now it's very clean cut, not an opinion, not ambiguous that if I buy it at 179, we're going to lose money. So a lot of people make the mistake and have to do infinitely more calls because they just lowball people all day. And the thing is, a lowball makes people mad. And what happens psychologically when you're mad? Your prefrontal cortex loses blood flow. It flows to a different part of your brain. And your prefrontal cortex, which makes logical decisions, no longer has blood flow, so that you really just can't hear what's happening. So we need to speak to somebody in a way where they can understand what we're saying. And how do we speak to somebody in that way? Well, it's really simple. Hey, I'm super interested at $180,000. If I buy it for 180, I'm in it for 190. And then if I put in my 80K rehab, which my contractor quoted me, I'm in it for about 280. And I saw your neighbor's house sold for 300. By the way, how much do you guys charge on listing agreements when you sell the property after I finish my project? Oh, right, 6%. Okay, so I'd make about 2K on the sale or on the 4-month project. No. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you guys only willing to sell to somebody who will make 2K over 4 months? How do you say no to that? You can't tell me that the neighbor's house didn't sell for 300K. Yes, actually, we're looking for somebody that is stupid. We're looking for a big dumbass. We just need him. We need that guy. Well, I got news for you, realtor. Buyers have loan underwriters, and the loan underwriters won't do a deal if they don't think they can get their money back. So the answer is, oh no, we've got some flexibility. We've got some room, right? So that's how I handle it. Now, let's say my pitch succeeds. Let's say in the super rare scenario, the realtor picks up their phone. That is a tall order. The realtor's doing bottle service. It is hard to get them to pick up the phone while they're holding up that sign. That shit is heavy. So, let's say super rare scenario, the realtor picks up the phone. Oh my God, we're in the money probably. And we get our offer accepted. Right? Now, what offer do we have to do? Where do we have to be on this thing? Well, we kind of just ran the numbers in our head. the neighbor's house sold for 300, so we'll sell for 300 at 179. We make 12K. How much would you guys want to make on a 4-month project? I think 60 or 70, maybe closer to 70. 70K 4 months? Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. And I could probably run multiple of these at once. So if I'm an investor, I probably want to make 70. You just ask yourself, what amount of money would you feel crazy good about? 70K. I feel good about 70K over a 4-month project. So we know what their asking price. We know what their asking price. We're not going to make 70K. So where do we have to get it? 70K below their asking price. 70K below their asking price. So they're asking 180. I present my offer at 110. Now let's just say that they say yes to my 110. As a member of Hold My Hand Wholesale trying to get your deal sold, what can we do? Because I'm gonna be the first person to acknowledge that y'all don't know any buyers. I didn't know any buyers when I started, so you don't know any buyers now, right? So how are we gonna find a buyer? Are we gonna list it with a realtor? No, your shit's already listed with a realtor and it didn't sell. So how are we gonna find a buyer? Well, we probably have 3 ways. We probably have 3 ways to find a buyer. I'll tell you the first way I found buyers, the second way I found buyers, and how I find buyers right now. But we're all following right now, right? We're all following. Chat, if anything's going over your head, say confused. But if say following, if you're following, say confused if confused. Just so I can gauge the room here. Because I feel like we just talked about how to find the deal, how to negotiate the deal, why somebody would buy the deal, right? Are we all following? Looks like we're all following. Good. Don't worry. We'll do a Q&A after this just in case I missed anything. So if we're all following, how do we find the buyer after we talk to the realtor? Well, the phone number for the realtors on Zillow, phone number for the buyer is not that simple. So here's the first way that I found buyers. Did you know that people who flip houses like to post pictures of the houses they flip? And anybody ever seen a friend or family member post a picture of a house that they're renovating? Yeah, all over Instagram, all over Facebook. Where do these people hang out? Where do they congregate? Well, yeah, usually on Facebook groups. They usually hang out on Facebook groups. You know, you'd be so surprised. If you go to Facebook and you go to the groups section of Facebook, well, look how many real estate investing groups I'm a part of, guys. Look at this. These are, you know, every single Facebook group is free. Facebook groups are free. They don't cost any money. So these guys, they all hang out in real estate groups. Look at this. Memphis housing, apartments, rooms, and sublets. Memphis rentals. Memphis roommates. Why roommates? Well, sometimes buyers hang out in there. Here's Hold My Hand Wholesale. And what you can do is, well, people post deals here. And investors see it. Look at that. 55 people saw this post. Investors see it and they hit you up. That's the first way that I started to, it's not very good, is it? It's not the best way, but look how many groups I'm a part of. You know why I'm a part of so many groups? Like we're not even done yet. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. So I'm part of probably like 150 Facebook groups. So where would I find my deals? Well, I find them on Zillow. And then after I get them under contract on Zillow, I post them in a Facebook group for that location. Real Estate Investing, Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia Real Estate Association. Atlanta, Georgia Fix and Flippers. Atlanta, Georgia Landlords. Atlanta, Georgia Realtors or real estate investment. Whatever you can think of in relation to real estate in that area, join. That's how I found my buyers for the first 1.5 to 2 years of doing this business. Then what did I do? Well, we started collecting buyers. We started collecting them because I'd sell to one buyer. I'd be like, all right, okay, that buyer buys. We sell to another buyer. Oh, okay, that buyer buys. Let's write down his information. And that buyer buys. And all of a sudden, I've got 10,000 buyers. Now I've got way more buyers than I need. But I can't contact 10,000 at once. They're not going to check their email if I email blast them, right? So what did I do? I hired a team of cold callers out of the Philippines. I trained them on everything that I know about real estate and sales and how to talk to these people and how to get them to pick up the phone. And I handed the list to him. Right? And I said, we're going to get all of you iPhones. We're going to get all of you United States phone numbers. And you're going to call this list when people find us deals. And they're like, what do you mean by people? And I said this. I said, hey, Well, I could talk about this pretty eloquently as I learned. That was kind of my gift. I could speak about things in a way that made sense to other people, especially on social media. And I've just started making videos about this. And guess what? I'm becoming a little bit of an influencer. I've got some significant following, and I started a community. And you know what? That community has 7,000 people in it, and all they want to do is call. And all I want you to do is call the buyers for them. So here's what we're going to do. My lovely ladies in the Philippines, they're anywhere between the age of like 30 and 50 years old. They have families. They're excellent. I visit them once a year in the Philippines. I just got back from overseas seeing them. We do 3-week trips together. It's amazing. They're the best of the best people in the world. And I said, so here's the game plan. I'm going to keep doing my wholesale deals. I'm going to keep doing my deals. I'm going to keep getting my checks. I'm going to keep generating all of these checks from wholesaling real estate. But I'm also going to start streaming it. In fact, I already am streaming it, and I'm going to yap and I'm going to yap and I'm going to yap and I'm going to make jokes about how realtors are doing bottle service instead of picking up their phone. Yeah. Well, that's going to generate people who join the community that we call Hold My Hand Wholesale. And in that community, they're going to get properties under contract. And honestly, they won't all be able to sell them on Facebook. Maybe some of them can sell them on Facebook. You're going to offer to sell it for them. And why would they do that? Well, how about this? If you ladies sell the deal for them, I'll give you a bonus. But beyond that, our company keeps 40%. I keep 40%. The student who found the deal keeps 60%. That way it makes sense for the student and it makes sense for me, because now, have I acquired the deal myself? No. Have I sold the deal myself? No. I just talked about it on social media and showed you that I could do it by leaking the addresses and showing my calls in real time. You got the deal. I sold the deal. You keep 60% of the profit. I keep 40% of the profit. And that's the second way that you can find a buyer. So the first way, post that shit on Facebook like I did. I got a lot of my buyers posting on Facebook for years and years and years and years and years. The second way that I found buyers, well, I sent it to my team. My top cold callers, her name is Shell. And dude, her American accent, we train them on American accents, right? Because if it's like, hello, sir, I am calling you about, oh, come on, that's not going to work. Who the hell is going to pick up a call like that? It's like I, as much as we love them, that's not going to work. Hopefully my Filipino accent's on point. I spent a lot of time there. So we train them to be like, hi, I am calling you about your property on, right? And that's how they speak now. And oh my God, they're great. They're so good. They used to be really, really, really bad. Like, hello, sir, this, hello, sir, that. But now they're just locked in and I never hear a peep about them. They never complain. Nobody ever complains about them because they're just so good. We've spent so much time with them in person, like months and months and months working with these people in person, to the point where they know what I know at this point, and they're better than I am at selling the deals at this point. So that's your second way. After you get that property under contract, your second way to sell your deal is to send it to my team. Send it to my team, and my team will go ahead and try to sell the deal for you. Why do I say try? Because 90% of you lock up bad deals. 90% of you lock up bad deals. 90% of you don't look for the evidence that I just told you to look for. You lock up something in the middle of nowhere, United States. You lock something up in a town in Wyoming with 2,000 people, and you're like, Richard, look, I've got one. And I'm like, bro, you just went fishing, and instead of catching a fish, you caught me a tin can. And now you want me to sell that tin can to a sandwich shop that makes fish sandwiches, not damn tin can sandwiches. All right. So 90% of people, they lock up bad deals. They lock up bad deals because they didn't look. They got super excited by my yapping and they locked something up. They got it under contract, but they didn't actually look to see if that property is a profitable rental. They didn't actually look to see if there's evidence for, if somebody renovates this property, will it sell for a profit? They never really did that. So 90% of the deals that you send me, we say, I'm sorry, no. And then 10% of the deals are like, you absolute legend, you G, you dog, we love you, great work, I'm gonna make some money on this, and so are you. Like Yusuf, who has $45,000 in closing right now from Egypt. Can't believe I just said that. Unbelievable. Anyways, That's your second way of selling the deal. Now where's the third way? Well, we took all of our buyers and we put them on a website, and we put a paywall in front of that website. So you can call them yourself. Why would you want to call them yourself? Maybe you don't. I'm okay with that. I make money either way. But if you sell it yourself and you pay me a subscription to get access to my buyers list, I get a subscription, and now we didn't have to sell the deal, and you keep 100% of the profit. Holy shit. We got an ecosystem. We got the wholesale income on one side. We got the education on the other side. We got the sales on the other side. Oh my God, we got the subscription to sell your deal on the other side as well. This is how I became a millionaire, by the way. This is like, if you're like, well, I don't want to learn how to wholesale and make 20K a month. I want to learn how to become a millionaire. Well, this is what I did. That's how I did it. That's how I built my net worth. That's how I built my assets, right? I found a problem. I solved the problem. The problem is you get a college degree nowadays and you don't make shit. I got that degree myself. So there's the problem. And I started a solution of, well, this is how I make money. And then I was like, wait a second. I'm looking for my own deals when I could hire fishermen. But what if I could get those fishermen to pay me instead of me paying them? Because normally you got to pay people to look for the deals for you. But what if I provided this badass education where damn 12-year-olds have done deals and they pay me to look for deals for me? And I could buy those if I want, because, I got a $7 million real estate portfolio of houses that I just hold myself. Or we could sell them and I can keep 40%, and I didn't find the deal and I didn't sell the deal. And let's say they don't want to work with us. No problem. I built you a program that has all my buyers on it. You just call them yourself. So I'll show you how that works right now. Let's look at a deal that's closing tomorrow, because you know what I always say, guys, that kind of set me apart from the rest of creators. We always have people who would claim this and talk about doing this, but they never really showed their houses that they're closing. And I'm like, wait a second, if earnest money is submitted on that deal, ain't nobody stealing that. So I started leaking addresses. So we got this property in Detroit that closes tomorrow. I'll show you where it is. This thing right here closes tomorrow. We're going to get a $10,000 check from this. Isn't that pretty cool? $10,000 from a damn phone call, right? Now, how do we find that buyer if we're not posting on Facebook, and if we're not sending it to my team, and if we want to keep the full $10,000, right? This is what really should make it click for you, because I can lie and I can have a really good way of explaining things, but what I can't fake, addresses. Why? Because you could call my realtor. It's right on the listing. It's the seller's realtor. Just ask him if it closes. If it's closing tomorrow, you'd be like, hey, is this available? And they'll be like, I'm sorry, no, it's closing tomorrow. And then it's real. Anyways, so how do we do that? How do we get access to my buyers list? Anybody want to know about that one? Let me know in the chat. If not, we'll move on to the next one. Because remember, this is only one of 3 types of deals that we do. I'm going to keep yapping for a while here. Y'all want to see how to find the buyers? I just gave you my first 2 ways. This electrolyte powder is so good. I never thought that I could combine real estate with like stand-up comedy. I just didn't think it was possible. I guess I'm sitting down right now, but that's how I view this. I'm like, you know what? We're going to make this shit entertaining, because inherently real estate is so damn boring. It's so boring. Making money is fun, but real estate is boring as hell. And, I was kind of like the class clown in school. I was getting in trouble all the time. I was like, wait a second. I can combine these two, bro. I could just, it's a story for another time. Okay, here's how we do it. Somebody just says, got a free house. Thank you, brother. He must be a paid actor. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to buyboxcartel.com. What does that mean? Well, buybox is an investor set of criteria, and a cartel is a group of people in the forest. Buybox Cartel is a place where we put the buyer's set of criteria, and then you guys can see what they're looking for, and then you could. I'll show you how it works. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'll systematically show Instagram. I'll systematically show TikTok. I'm showing these guys first, but I'll show you all. So let's find our address, right? And first things first, guys, we talked about a fix and flip, right? Fix and flip is when you flip the property and you renovate it for profit. I'm running 3 right now. I love my fix and flip. Such a good way to make money. And then we've got rentals. I've got 23 of those. And you have to ask yourself, do flippers buy rental properties, and do rental buyers buy fix and flips. Well, usually they kind of stick to their own strategies. I do both of them so that I can wholesale to both of them and understand what they're looking for. But generally speaking, you're either a flipper or you're a landlord, and you're not often both, but sometimes they are both. But for the most part, these require operations, and you know what I'm saying. So when we look up the buyer here, we have to understand the use of our property, and that's something that goes above a lot of people's heads. We need to understand the use of the property. How much to join Hold My Hand Wholesale, you say? $20. Remember I said if only 5% of people are going to see success from this. I don't want it to break the bank for you to find out that you're not in the 5% of people who will see success from this, because chances are there's probably 15 of you across every platform watching right now. I'm not talking about those in Hold My Hand Wholesale, but 15 on TikTok, 15 on Instagram, 15 on YouTube that could actually make this work. So I don't want it to break the bank, because here's the thing. If I do what everybody else does and I sell you a $10,000 course, which is what it's worth, by the way, it's worth $10,000. But if I sell you that $10,000 course, it doesn't change the fact that only 5% of people show up to the gym each day. It doesn't change the fact. So if your gym membership is 10K, you're probably going to be pretty mad when you don't get a 6-pack in a month, right? Just like you're probably going to be pretty mad at me when you're like, you said I could do that. Oh, bro, I'm telling you, you probably can't do this. I'm just going to be so straight up. You probably can't. You probably can't do this shit, man. I'm not even trying to do some reverse sales on you. It's just those are the numbers. People don't listen. I do one-on-ones with people. I got a one-on-one link in my bio, and sometimes I hop on the phone and man, I don't even want to do an impression of some of the people I talk to. I'm just like, I'm gonna show you how to do this, but man, ain't no way you're gonna show up. Ain't no way. Anyways, when you're finding a buyer for your deal, that link is linked in my bio. First link in my bio, called Hold My Hand Wholesale. When you're finding a buyer for your deal, you have to ask yourself, what type of buyer am I looking for? So we have our property. This thing closes tomorrow for $10,000. We're gonna copy our address and we're gonna throw it into the website, right? Here's the buyers list, tab. Click on buyers list. You click the top right panel on buyboxcartel.com, and then you click the buyers list tab. And then you're going to search up your address, click on it. And it's like, what type of buyer are you looking for? Because we got a lot of buyers. Well, we got fix and flip buyers. We got cash buyers, Section 8 buyers. It kind of gives you a breakdown. Holds 3 rentals in the local median. Okay, cool. Well, Section 8. I mean, this is in Detroit, Michigan. I think a Section 8 buyer might like this house, because does it need to be fix and flipped? No, that's a damn good property. It doesn't really need a fix and flip. So we got it under contract. What do? We click on the Section 8 buyer, and here's what our software does. Here's what it does. It just takes all my buyers. You know those guys I found on Facebook? It's not just them. It's not just every guy I found on Facebook. Because remember, I'm one of the biggest real estate influencers in the world, not to stroke my own ego, but to stroke my own ego. You know what happens when you're a big real estate influencer? Flippers reach out to you and they're like, how do I buy your deals? Remember, you said you find deals. How do I buy those deals? Well, I got a set of employees in my DMs who collect all of that information. I got forums out on YouTube right now that are blasted to every corner of the internet, where the people are like, where it says, hey, you want to buy my deals? You see this awesome rental property I got it from here. Well, those people reach out to me and we put them on the list. We put them in the website. So what did I do just now? Well, I searched up the property, right? Here's the property. It's in Detroit. I don't live in Detroit. I don't go to Detroit, but here's the house. And well, would you look at that? This guy has 4 rental properties, last purchased on July 20th, 2026. And I can see his contact details right here. So wait a second. Couldn't I just call this guy and be like, yo, I see you bought that property in Madeleine Street. You want another one? Oh, you don't? Okay, no worries. There's about 10,000 other people here too. And then I see another one right here. Oh my God, you just bought this property in Westphalia Street? And it's like, how do we know you're not just pulling random sales? How do we know that these are not just people who bought houses to live in them? Well, wait a second. Rental properties are held by companies, and we can find out if a company owns this property very, very easily. And look at that. This is owned by FERPA Investments Limited Liability Company. Well, would you look at that? They just bought a rental property right next door in July. You understand what I'm saying? He has 4 other properties. What are the chances that he or she is going to buy another one? We can see right here. This is not just a person who bought the property to live in. This is FERPA Investments Limited Liability Company or corporation. That's a rental company, right? That's one of our buyers. How many houses do you think they own? Oh, just a calm 358. Just a calm $10 million. I'm sorry, just a calm 90 million. My apologies. I said 10, I meant 90. Just a cool 90 million in real estate. What, you think that guy might want another property? You think he's going to stop at 358? Oh, no, I'm actually 358 was the number I had all along. I think I'm done. I think I'll stop at 90 million. I think I'm done. No, bro, send me the damn deal. Get that shit in front of me. I got to buy for tax purposes right away. Y'all want to see? Check this out. Look at this. 358 properties, $81 million estimated value, $72 million in equity. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Come on. So we call that person. We skip trace the buyer. We unlock their contact information. We take out our cell phone and look at this. I got their cell phone number right there. And I shouldn't show it to you because we're not allowed to do that on social media, but I'm looking at their cell phone number. I'm going to give them a call. Now, what are the chances that it will be right? Well, we use AI skip tracing to trace call records. We use county data. And with all the county data and AI skip tracing, I'd say it's about 70 to 80%. 70 to 80% accuracy on these buyers right here, right? So let's give them a call. Well, it's a real number. It's ringing. Phone is ringing right now. This guy's name is Jacob Edward, who owns FERPA Investments. Jacob Edward owns FERPA Investments. Let's see if this is Jacob Edward's voicemail. I've also got a ton of emails for him. Okay, well, it's a real person. It said, please leave a message. So we know that we have a real life individual right there. And another way that we can check to see if this is a real person, well, really simple. You could just put their phone number into your iPhone. And if the number turns blue, as it just turned blue right here, it's linked to an iPhone. What's the significance of that? Well, if you type a random phone number into your messages, like 123-345-567, and you type that in here, it's green, right? Because it's not a real phone number or it's an Android. If it's blue, it's a real phone number, real phone number. So this individual owns 358 properties worth approximately $90 million. We have this property under contract right next door, and I'm getting a $10,000 finder's fee from somebody like that tomorrow. Y'all understand? Do we say confused if you're confused? Say confused if you're confused. It's okay if you're confused. It's just called hold my hand wholesale. I want to hold your hand, but you've got to let me know if you're confused. How many people are like, holy shit, I know how to become financially free? Because to me, it's like, holy shit, I know how to become financially free, right? Everybody says, I need more training. I need more training. I need more training. But guys, we're about to run the Q&A, not with you guys, with all the members of Hold My Hand Wholesale. Y'all know why we're one of the biggest on the internet for real estate investing? It's because we're going to hold your hand, man. We're going to hold your hand. So I get it. You need more explanation. Don't worry. We offer that right here, right now. That's what we're jumping into next. So I'm going to jump into the explanation. We've already explained it. I just did my whole TED talk. It was literally a TED talk right there. You know, little pat on my back, I didn't script this. That was not scripted, bro. Zero script. That was off the dome. You know, I found out that when I was a kid, I was really bad at like almost everything, but this is the one thing I could do. I could just do it off the dome. I just off the dome. That's what I could do. I don't need a teleprompter. Get that shit out of here. So, the people who are listening right now, these guys are members of Hold My Hand Wholesale. We got about 253 253 people in the audience. Now, systematically, they're asking questions in the chat, and I'm going to bring them up and I'm going to answer their questions. Their questions could be, will you look at my deal and tell me, oh gosh, somebody's calling me. Let me say I'm on call. I can't talk right now. I'm busy, but we're going to do a Q&A. We're going to do a Q&A. And the Q&A is for the members of Hold My Hand Wholesale. Now, if you want to join Hold My Hand Wholesale and what you just saw, as I said, only 5% of people are going to succeed. So we're not about to run into, we're not about to charge you guys $10,000 because ultimately it probably won't work because you got to be kind of good at life for this to work, right? So the link is in my bio. The link that's in my bio is $20. It's $20. That's it. Now I gotta make a brief, oh my gosh, I'm getting spammed by phone calls. Holy shit. That's insane. I need to turn this on. Do not disturb. Do not disturb. I got a link in my bio. If you click the link in my bio, you join Hold My Hand Wholesale. It's the link for $20. That's it. You can sign up for a year and get a discount if you want. And all I would do if you sign up, start by finding that ugly property. Somebody says, what do I do after I join? That was what today was for. Okay, but what do you do after you join? Well, as I said, step one, find an ugly house on Zillow. That's it. Find an ugly house on Zillow. That's it. Then what's next? Oh, we lost sound. We lost sound on Instagram. Running it back. What's next? What's next after you find an ugly property on Zillow? Well, look for your evidence. Look for your evidence, guys. Your evidence is, well, if I renovate this property, are we going to make money on it? Is there any profit on this if we renovate it? Right? That's your evidence. That's what you need to look for. So we have courses in Hold My Hand Wholesale. There's courses, and you know, you take the courses and Hold My Hand Wholesale. You show up to class. You join the Q&A. That's it. So I got to stop marketing to you guys. If you want it, it's linked in my bio. It's called Hold My Hand Wholesale. So what we're gonna do, is we are going to. Oh, my camera froze. We're gonna start taking questions and looking at deals. How do the buy/sell contracts work? Everything is broken down in those courses. Everything is broken down in those courses. Let me briefly fix my camera. We're gonna do an hour Q&A right now. Fixing my camera. I know it froze. We're coming back. We're coming back for our Q&A. What happens if you get a bad deal? Are you stuck with it? No. What happens if retail buyers sign a contract to buy a property and they inspect it and the property's in bad shape? Do they have to buy it? Is that how real estate works? You get a house under contract, you inspect the property and it's in bad shape. Now you're stuck having to buy it because the seller lied to you about the condition of the property. So if the seller lies to you about the condition of their property, you have to buy it? Or there's a lawsuit? No, there's no lawsuit. There's nothing like that. Contracts to buy real estate have what's called an inspection period. And if you go under a contract for a property and the seller lied, because it's a conflict of interest. Of course they lied. Well, you don't have to buy that property, man. We got an inspection period. There's protections for this stuff in the United States. It's a big financial purchase. You understand? Okay. So where are my new members? I understand all my experienced members, they're like, hey, look at this deal, look at that deal. Where are my new members? Can you be held liable for backing out of a contract? Can you be held? Well, you have your inspection period. Your inspection period is designed for you to back out of the contract. By having an inspection period, you're saying, by the way, I'm gonna back out if it's not in good condition. I'm gonna back out if it's not in good condition. So I'm gonna work with some of our newer members. Here because today is for new members. Blake is brand new. Great. We've got 3 brand new members, and let's ask them some questions. So Be Bad has joined us on stage. Be Bad, you're muted right now, but I am here to break down any questions that you may have about this.
Amazing. So nice to meet you and finally talk to you. I've been following you on TikTok. I've been talking to you. I'm in Detroit. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting in that school group so he can talk to me.
Well, here we are. We're talking face to face. How you doing? What's your name? What do we call you? I'm guessing we don't call you Be Bad, but I can if you want.
No, my name is Bianca. I just haven't changed my Discord. That was connected to when I used to live stream a couple of years ago. Today I've called I want to say about 10 properties, and I sent out 5 contracts, all in Highland Park, all low priced, probably under $100,000. They're fix and flip, distressed properties. I have one main one that I wanted to talk to you about today. It's 164. If you want me to tell you the address, I'm not sure.
I am ready. I am ready.
164 California Street, I think it is, in Highland Park, 48203.
So if you guys are watching,
it's listed for 100.
So if you guys are watching right now, you got the address 164 California. We can follow along. And this is Highland Park, Michigan, which is in the center of Detroit. And let's look it up. So we remember what we just talked about, guys. I'm going to go through the process again really quickly. First things first, find an ugly property. But what if the property's not ugly? Can they only be ugly properties? No. I mean, as I said, there are buyers who buy rentals. There are buyers who buy fix and flips. So our first question is to her, Bianca. Bianca, is this a fix and flip or a rental property?
This is a fix and flip.
This is a fix and flip. Okay. So we're looking at fix and flip. We can kind of tell, right? Because the bricks are all messed up down here. The deck looks old. We've just got old windows. You've got shingles peeling off. We got flashing missing right here. Yeah, this, I agree with you. This thing probably needs a little bit of a renovation. But then the second question is, do we have evidence to suggest that if we renovate this, it'll sell for a profit?
Well, I did run the comps on it, and for the properties in the surrounding area, and I basically got anywhere from, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now. I had just literally got in my car to go to the store.
How about I do it?
I want to say it's 140,000. 1 second, please.
Well, I'll check it out right now. Guys. We're gonna run through the property that's on my screen right now, and we are going to see if there is the evidence that we found on the property that we were looking at earlier. And then we're going to see, well, the evidence is to see if we can renovate it for a profit, because remember, not every area needs a renovation, but I think this maybe it will. I mean, let's find out really quickly here. So we're looking in this area. We're going to draw around the general vicinity of this property. And we're going to ask ourselves, well, wait a second, if we renovate this, will it sell for more? So the first things first is, remember, apples to apples, not apples to oranges. Apples to oranges is to compare a ranch property with a bungalow or a 2-story. It could also be comparing a 1930 year built with a 1980 year built. Those are drastically different time periods, and the values are drastically different from those time periods. 1930s, well, we built things with a little bit more care, quality, and attention to detail. 1980s, the means of productions were increasing, and now factories are stamping out these houses, and they kind of all look the same. Then flash forward to 2020, and we're like, oh my God, all the houses are really the same now, because we can make these things in a month and a half. So we have to see, well, apples to apples, what's this thing going to sell for? And that starts out with what the property is. So I got all these people saying, how do I start? Man, I'm showing you how to start right now. And ultimately, as I said, 5% of people will succeed, because we got people who just heard an entire monologue on how to start. And their question is, but how do I start? So let's run through this right now. It's a 3-2 with 1,400 square feet. We got to look at another 3-2 with around 1,400 square feet. Thanks, Eli. Appreciate it, dog. I'm going to look at the sold properties in the past 12 months, and I'm going to look for a 3-2 bungalow with 1,400 square feet or so. Well, here's a 4-4 with 2,400, and it's a 2-story. Here's an 8-4. Here's a 4-1 with a 2-story. We need a bungalow, man. That's a bungalow. That's a 4-2 for 190K. Okay, but it's got 1,900 square feet. We've got 1,400 square feet. Huh. Here's a 4-2 with 1,600 square feet for 190K. Okay, getting close. We're a 3-2, not a 4-2, and then we're 1,400, not 1,600, but we're getting pretty close here. I wonder if somebody renovated this thing though, right? Is this the max that it could have sold for? Was it already renovated? Because I'm not seeing the photos on Zillow, so let's find out online. Interior, they didn't really renovate it. They kind of just sold it as it was, and it's still got 190K. So the thing that I'll say first and foremost is, yes, properties are selling for more in this area, but how interesting. Nothing of this type has been renovated here as of late, at least for the high. And I say that because this 4.2 is not renovated. It's sold for more, which is a good sign, but it's not renovated. What about this guy? Is this guy renovated? I would venture to say no because of the angle of this photo. This looks like a photo that you take when you're just listing your house for sale, not a marketing photo for a fully flipped house, but I could be wrong. Let's find out. Flip or no flip? It's owned by a guy named Jin Guak. And Jin Guak bought the property off of a couple. Did the couple flip the property to him? No, they're just a couple. They're not flippers. So Jin Guak bought this from Miss Joanne Thompson and Geraldine Thompson. Those sound like sisters to me. Joanne and Geraldine, and they bought it out of their trust. Joanne and Geraldine Thompson Trust. So what happened here? We can kind of paint a picture of what happened. Well, mom and dad passed away. They gave a trust to their kids, as we're always talking about. The trust contained a property, and they sold that property without renovating it to Guak Jin, or Jin Guak. And Jin Guak, well, he just lives in it now, and that's his primary residence, and it's not particularly renovated. So, you know, I would say that this is a good area because of the prices that we're seeing, but I'm not seeing a crazy amount of rehabs. This one, however, is renovated. And this is a 3-2 bungalow with 1,400 square feet. So look at that. Here is we just had to scroll down further. This guy right here is fully renovated. He's 3-2. He's a bungalow. And look at that interior. Beautiful historic preservation renovation. What a good job they did. Let's look at the kitchen, as the kitchen is one of the telltale signs of a rehab. And the realtor was kind of thinking, you know, I don't really want to photograph the kitchen. I don't really like that. But I think that this thing got renovated because of this nice paint on the outside. It looks good. We can also look at the transaction chain and kind of see if a company sold it to them. But yeah, this thing got renovated and sold for $170K. So you might sell for a little less than that because you're, you know, this thing is a little bit bigger than you. So maybe you sell for 160. So my current idea of your value is about 160, but that's the highest comp in the area for this property. So as I continue to scroll, yeah, you're right. The prices start to go down a little bit now, but are you noticing something here? None of these are flipped. None of them are flipped. We can tell by the pictures. The pictures here let us know, well, these aren't flips. These are all retail sales. And that doesn't mean that you're in a bad area. It doesn't. It just means that this is not a particularly active investor area for whatever reason. Now, I think it could be an active investor area. I think they're flipping more expensive properties, but this particular one doesn't look like they're flipping too much around here. However, if you got it at the right price, maybe you could sell it in just decent condition for a profit. So what do we think this will sell for? Well, anywhere from 140 to 160 is my professional estimate, and they're asking 100. Now, if you buy it at 100, it's important to note that your buyer's already in it for 115. 10K for closing costs, $5,000 for your finder's fee if you take a small finder's fee. So this deal at 100K is an underwater deal because if it were just decent shape, now it's selling for 140. And as I said, realtors take 6%. So you found a house just like the house that we found where it could be a deal, but the price that they're asking does not work for the only type of buyer we could have, the only type of buyer being an investor, given the condition that the property is in. So now is the point in time where I ask you, what price did you offer? Do you do your research to make this thing make money, or are we just throwing out numbers? Let's find out.
I gave her 75,000.
Let's find out. Okay. So what sort of rehab does this need to get into the condition of the other properties? Well, the good news is this thing doesn't have that much done to it. It's pretty much still historic. It's nice. It's in good condition. It's clean, but it's mainly just historic preservation and maybe a couple new things. So this is just a clean property. I kind of rescind my previous statement. I don't think it's flipped. I think this thing is just clean. And clean properties sometimes sell. I mean, it's honestly not that clean. It's good enough, I'd say. So how much would it take to get the property clean? Look at that old furnace that they have there. Wow. So, well, you know, let's run through it. How much would it take to get the property clean? It already is pretty clean. You're fixing the outside. You're fixing the bricks. Man, 15K would go pretty far. 20K because you got an ancient boiler in here. So yeah, I'm gonna say 25. Let's go 25. 25 and this thing's spectacular. 25 and you're selling for the higher end. You're selling for 150 at 25K rehab. 25 would do the shingles, it would do the brick, you'd switch out the countertop. 25 is a fix and flip, really. You scrape the ceilings, you got smooth walls. You're not switching out the windows for that, but you are refinishing the floors, maybe redoing a bathroom, laying some LVP, putting in new mechanicals. You're making it clean. You're making it clean. It's a really light rehab, not too much thought put into it, just getting things functional. So how much? Well, I guess how long would that take and how much could they make? You have it at 75, buyer pays 80. Buyer pays 80, buyer's in it for 90. Why? Closing costs. So at your price, buyer's in it for 90. At your price, buyer puts in 25 and sells for 150. With a $150,000 sale, buyer is taking a 6% haircut for the realtor commission, and they're in it for 115. They walk with about 141 to make about 25,000 on the flip. How do I feel about making 25K? Well, not that bad. I don't feel that bad. I think it's fine. I don't feel great about it, but I think it's fine. I wouldn't, if you showed me this deal and asked me to flip it, I'd turn it down because I don't see a lot of flipping activities in the area. And I don't exactly think that a house just in average condition is the most desirable product. It sells, but my evidence is C+, B- evidence because I just don't have that much evidence for profit. You know, I have nicer houses that have sold for much more, but honestly, these houses, a lot of them sell for like 115, like this guy who's also in good condition. So I know I could end up like that too. I know I can take evidence of the higher ones, but I also got to consider the lower ones too. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, best case scenario, I make 150. Worst case scenario, I'm underwater. So I don't have any margin for error here. I think your project is fine. The project that you found is fine. But I just don't think that it is that we have any cushion. And when I say cushion, I mean, you're flipping a 100-year-old house. Shit comes up. You know, we find things, and anything that we find underwater, just like that. Any negotiation underwater, just like that. So I'm thinking, yeah, you might make some profit on this, but you might not make some profit on this. And for that reason, if this were Shark Tank, I'd say I'm out. But as I will say this, we shouldn't build our business model on this, but I have sold bad deals time and time again. And this isn't a bad deal. It's an okay deal, maybe a C+, B- deal. But I have gotten so many properties under contract and collected finder's fees from flippers who don't know what they're doing. Because a lot of flippers don't know that they need to start with wholesale. And what does wholesale do? Well, if you were starting with flipping, you'd flip this house. And what would happen to you if you flip this house? Well, it might be your last deal ever, right? But now that you're starting with wholesaling, the blow is a little bit lighter. And I'm saying to you now, well, this could happen. It won't necessarily happen, but it could happen. And for that reason, I don't necessarily think we've put together the best investment package possible. So a lot of flippers will buy bad deals because they don't know to start with wholesaling, and that could happen to you. But I don't like to throw mud on the wall and see what sticks. And what I mean by that is we could contract virtually anything. We could get 5 contracts in a day. We could blast out all of those contracts to buyers and just see what sticks. But we should build a business model on finding exactly what they're looking for, making exactly what they want to make. And for this one, I think that it's C+, B-. That's my feedback on it.
So what purchase price do you think we need to be at in order to make the deal work? Because the buyers are very motivated. It's a couple that got divorced. The husband moved out. The wife still lives there and is about to move out. And they just want the property sold. So should I come back with a different offer? Because at first I started at 85 and then I did 75. So now I'm going to be looking like I don't know what I'm doing if I go even lower. So should I just give it up, or what do you think?
Well, I will say when you put a price in a seller's head and we switch up that price, that causes anger, right? They're unhappy with us when we do that. So you have 2 options. Well, maybe 3 options. You could send a member of the Discord, because we got so many people in the Discord who live here, to the property as your inspector. And they could say, hey, there's this wrong, there's this wrong, there's this wrong. And then you could use that to negotiate, as people typically do in real estate transactions. When I sell my properties to retail buyers, you better believe they do exactly what I just told you to do. They do it all the time, right? I run into this all the time where they inspect my property and then they drop the price on me. That's just part of the game. Another thing that you could do is you could say, hey, I called my lender and my lender pulled these 3 comps for me and says that if I flip this thing, I might not be able to sell it and therefore might not be able to get him his money back. My lender pre-approved me here. I'm so sorry. You can hate me, but my lender underwrote the deal and this is where they got me pre-approved. And that actually happened to me on a deal that I just had closing with another student out of Egypt on Pinehurst and Auburn. The lender came back on one of the 2 properties, Pinehurst. Pinehurst is the 2-1. and they said, hey, this appraised for 62. But good news, the other one appraised for more. So we adjusted the price to make it work, increasing the price on the other one, decreasing the price on this one. And that allowed the deal to work. Now, for your scenario, I'm thinking to myself, well, those are both kind of different forms of lying to somebody. So maybe we shouldn't do that. So I might come to him and I say, well, I looked at the numbers on this thing. These are kind of what your neighbors' houses are selling. Unfortunately, this is probably where I'd need to be at. And if you're very transparent, transparency resonates with somebody. So where would I get this to make money? I always find that we know the answer to our own question. If we look at the deal and we say to ourselves, well, if I buy this at 75 and everything goes as planned, I make 25. I probably would want to make closer to 40 though, so that I have a cushion so that my worst case scenario is making 25, not my best case scenario. So where would we need to be? About 20K lower. About 20K lower would give us a nice, good cushion for this property.
Got you. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Let's look at another deal. The next person we have here is a Mr. Anthony, who is also new to Hold My Hand Wholesale. And if you guys right here join right now, you can hop on stage and ask me those questions that you're putting in the chat. So let's start with the Mr. Anthony. Hey, Anthony, how you doing? Anthony, you're muted right now. Are you speaking? Well, that's okay. I think we might have more. So this person says, I got my first deal under contract and I'm having issues with the contract. Please bring me up. So Anthony, I see that you're here in the chat, but you're going to, I know it's a lot to ask, but you're going to have to click the unmute button and then you can speak. I do not have you muted. You may have your browser permissions not allowing you to unmute, and you may have to approve it on your browser. So I have another person right here. How do you determine what strategy is best? Ian, you have a tool belt full of strategies. Strategies work for different seller positions. If the house is in distressed condition, the fix and flip strategy works. That's a cash offer. If the house is in renovated condition, well, it might be a rental property. If the house is in renovated condition but doesn't cash flow, well, it might be a rental property that we use creative finance on to make it cash flow. So, right, we're it's not like which one should I pursue? It's which strategy did I encounter, right? And guys, everybody wants to show me these advanced deals. Remember, I'm trying to help out our new members today. And don't worry, I 99% of the time I look at advanced deals. So the next person who needs help here is going to be this person, Brian, who's got his first deal under contract. He's a step ahead of the last person. He's a step ahead. He hasn't just made the offers. He's gone and he's made the offers to get something under contract. Now let's go ahead and see what he has. Now, Mr. Brian, can you hear me? Where are you calling out of today?
Hey, Rich, can you hear me?
Yeah, where are you calling out of today, Brian? Where are you joining us from?
I'm from South Africa.
Well, look at that. And you have a house under contract?
Yeah, I do have a house under contract, but it's a bit of a sticky situation.
Okay, well, let's see if we can solve it.
I got it under contract last week. It's listed at 75. I initially got it at 62, send it over to the dispo team, but they said that's too tight. So I had to renegotiate and I got it for 55. Now the seller agreed for 55.
Okay, so he actually did what we told the last person to do. You price drop that thing. That's great, man. So good job on the price drop. Now, what's the issue you're experiencing?
The issue is we signed a contract for 62. Even though now the seller has agreed for 55, they only want to sign the addendum updating the price to 55 only after inspection. And my dispo manager, I think her name is Mara, she said she can't market the deal until that addendum has been signed, but they only want to sign it after an inspection to confirm that, so they have intent to close.
Right. And what a valid ask of the seller. So here's, we have to balance buyer and seller expectations. So seller's position is, I will grant you the price drop that you're saying. I'm not happy to do it, but I will do it. And if I'm going to do it, I need to know that you're serious so that we don't end up in another position like this where you inspect and it's another price drop, right? And my team, remember those ladies who cold call? One of them, their name is Mara. And the ladies who cold call, well, they can't sell it to a buyer if we don't have it at the price that we've told them we have it at. So imagine that the buyer goes to inspect and we say we could get this price and now your seller's not ready to sign. Same issue that they're having. Well, now we've burned the bridge with that buyer. We told them we had an opportunity. They went to look at the opportunity. And unfortunately, this is the reality. So what would I say? Well, if you truly have a good deal, I would cancel the deal and I would pick a member out of the audience. And I would say you should have them contract the property at the right price as a new individual, as a new party. So I'd take somebody out of the audience. How many people want to work with this guy on his deal? I'd back out of the deal and sorry, I wasted your time, and somebody else contracts it at the right price, then send it back to my team, partner with them on the deal.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely try and do that because yeah, renegotiating it was a hassle. And you don't think you have a buyer in your contacts who would be open to understanding this whole addendum situation?
It's not about them understanding the addendum situation. It's that we legally can't market a property for a price if we don't have it at that price or below that price. And then beyond that, if we send the buyer to the property and we don't have the house under contract, and they actually want the deal and then somebody else makes them an offer and they can't get it, we've damaged our relationship with the buyer. So sure, I could send somebody, but I'm not willing to send it for you to make the money and for me to burn my bridge with my buyer. And Mara's thinking is correct on that. So cancel your contract, grab somebody out of the audience, have them make the right offer, have them cut you in for sending them the opportunity. Right?
Okay. Yeah. And I think I also had some questions, but now it's kind of not coming. But in this first month of calling, I've been, calling, and it's kind of hard to get realtors to pick up. So I usually just text, but then, I feel like it would be better to, talk with them verbally. So how do I navigate around that?
How do you speak to the realtors on the phone?
Yeah, because I logged this one up because I had like a good 10-minute conversation with the realtor. So I'm thinking now that talking to them is better than texting. But then, as you know, realtors don't really pick up. So how do I navigate around sending offers? How many offers should I actually be sending in a day to be in a good position to close good deals?
I would say that you should have 10 conversations per day where you submit offers. I think you should have 10 conversations per day to submit offers. And, I think that you should probably submit 10 offers per day as well. I think that's probably the best number that you could do. And I'd write all the addresses down. I'd write the addresses down. I'd write the response that you got, no response, response, declined offer. And then I'd continue to follow up with those individuals.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Rich.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Best of luck. I got to send this message really quickly. One sec, guys. Okay. All right. 10 offers is a lot, but makes sense. I don't think 10 offers that much. 10 offers is pretty low, guys. 10 offers really low. I could probably submit 10 offers in 30 minutes. So, you just got to move quickly. Stop spending so much time analyzing the deals. I would 100% try to submit 10 offers per day. It's pretty basic. Royalty, how do we come up on stage? Just like that. So any new members needing any assistance? Cheeks, I see you needed some assistance. Richard, I need help 1 month in, brought you up. Let's talk to Royalty first and then Cheeks. Royalty, how are you doing today?
Good in yourself. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. So nice to have you join us. Where are you calling out of?
I am calling out of the ATL, and I have a property in Detroit.
Great. We love both of those markets. Let's check it out. What is the address to your subject property?
The address is 3351 West Grand, Grand Street, zip 48238.
Okay.
It's just taken off of the market, so
I think I found it here. So yeah, so it's off. It's off market, is what you're saying.
Just now. So this property was with a realtor for 9 months, and the realtor could not sell it.
Oh no! What's wrong with it? Is it just the condition, the price? Looks like the price.
At 180. Now we're down to 134.
Whoa! Yeah.
According to the realtor, people want seller financing. The seller wants cash. There is still 20 to maybe 30K needed in cosmetics. When the seller was putting the final touches on it, someone vandalized it, took the bathroom, the vanities, and the so the seller just decided to sell it as is.
Well, that's terrible. Well, the good news is I am flipping in Detroit, and I am flipping multifamilies in Detroit, and I have a property 0.2 miles away from this that I'm renovating, and it's a multifamily. So I would love to pick up another one. I'm coming to completion on 2, almost 3 of my projects now. So I'm a buyer for these things, guys, and you can wholesale to me, and I have no problem giving you 5 or 10K. Why? Because it's not me at the end of the day; it's my lender. So if you give me a price that makes sense, my lender will pay you. I don't really care. You just brought me a deal that makes sense. So what am I going to do to find out if this makes sense? Guys, I'm going to look for my evidence. But here is where we get a little bit complicated. It's not always about the evidence. The evidence is important for single family properties, but is the evidence as important for multi? Yes. The evidence is important for multifamilies, more so for the appraisal. But what's most important for multifamilies? The return on investment. Not my return on investment, my buyer's return on investment. Because as I look at this property, she just told me that it's vandalized. It needs work. This property has been damaged, and I get that. Now it's going to need some work, and we can put that work into the property, but only if we have the evidence to suggest that this is actually a profitable opportunity. Now, whether or not it's a profitable opportunity here, try to bear with me, guys, because this is going to get a little bit complicated. It's not just about what the neighbors' houses have sold for. It's loosely about that because there's an appraisal for the new buyer, and the buyer has to buy the property at approximately what it's worth. But what the buyer cares about most is, if I buy it for this price, what is my mortgage? And if I rent it for this price, what do I bring in? And how much? And how does that feel based on my down payment? For example, if I put down, well, I'll say this. Let's say you pay $3,000 per month and you rent out for $4,000. Great, you're making $1,000. Okay, well, is that great if you had to put down 100K? No. Is that great if you had to put down 30K? Yes. So it's this equation: money out, money in, right? How do we figure out whether or not this? Well, we know it'll be profitable, but will it be profitable enough for my end buyer, right? Because my end buyer is thinking to themselves, if I buy this property at this price, how much can I make with this property? And how much is this property going to cost? Just like any other business. So now we have a little bit of nuance. I understand that the comps may show $200,000 or $250,000, but as I said, there are suckers in this business who buy bad deals all the time. We don't want to build the business on people who buy bad deals. We want to build a business on people who buy good deals. So we need to see, can I buy this at a price, bring it up to rental standards for a rental investor in Detroit, and then can that buyer buy it at a price where their mortgage is significantly below what the house rents out for? And the thing that I'm going to say right now is, your single family property is in a very good part of Detroit. It's in a very, very good part, very desirable part, one of the best parts of Detroit you could be in. That's in the city rather than outside of it in like an area like Birmingham. So The only thing that is concerning to me is they were asking 134, right? Now,
Yeah, well, they started at 180, I believe.
if we bought
That
it,
was the last price that they were asking for.
if we bought it for their asking price, 180, and somebody renovated it and sold that thing for 250, right? Well, the property has now a price of 250. The buyer had to put down 50K and their payment is 1,300, except for taxes in this area are $700 a month, which is insane, I know. But Detroit has high taxes. So their monthly payment would be 2,000. Now we got to ask ourselves, how much do rentals go for right here? Well, let's take a peek. Let's take a peek. If we look at rentals in this area and we zoom in, just about $2,000 bucks.
It's $1,250 each. Yeah, about 25.
Yeah, so you're bringing about $2,500. So, interesting point is, well, wait a second. If we had paid that 180K that the seller was asking, and we renovated the property and then expected to sell it to somebody who is buying it as an investment, not a primary residence to live in, well, that investment would make them negative money per month because they pay $1,300 on their mortgage, $700 for taxes, $200 for insurance. Now that's $2,200. And if we rent for $2,200, or $2,500, we got expenses of being a rental property, and the expenses are generally 20%. So, the reason it didn't sell at their previous price is, well, if somebody buys this property to renovate and they know that they're selling to an investor and that investor isn't going to make any money if they buy the property, well, it's not very likely to find the investor who's going to buy and know that they're not going to make any money. So this is all about, can I renovate it and sell it for a price where the investor can make money? Because I know it's not just about the evidence in this. Now it's a multifamily, and a multifamily's use is primarily as a business to make money, as the other person who owns $90 million in real estate does. It's about the money in, the money out. So if we got this thing at their asking price of 134, well, I should say, what price do you think you can get it for? What do you think
that I can get for it?
What price do you think you could get the property for? Like, they're asking 134. What could we get it for?
We could try 150.
Well, if they're asking 134, why would we try to offer them more than they're asking?
To get me more money. No, we can try the 134.
Because you make money when you get a discount. So if you offer 15K above, that doesn't help you make money, right? You make money when you get a discount off the price. So we don't want to offer them above their asking price. We want to offer them below their asking price so that you can be paid for the value that you provided, and the value you provided is a discount. We know that the deal wasn't a deal at 134 because it didn't sell at 134. So we know we got to get it below there in order for this to be a deal. Now, we know the property will rent out for $2,500. How much will it actually make, though? $2,500 is actually 20% less than that for the expenses of owning a rental. Nice round numbers. It's $2,000. So this property will make $2,000 a month. Now let's find out what our expenses are based on what the price might be after it's done. Let's say the price is $160,000 after it's done. We need to get 20% of the investor's money back if they're going to buy this property off of us. So if the investor, and I'm not talking about us, I'm not talking, because I'm the investor who flips it, but I'm not the investor who buys the flipped product. You understand what I'm saying? There's a chain here. You're the wholesaler who sells to investor A. I'm the flipper who sells to investor B. We're talking about investor B right now, not investor A. I might buy this off you for 130K, but now I got to think about who I'm selling it to. So I'm doing the math to find out if investor B thinks that's a good deal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's say, hypothetically, investor B wants to pay $160 for a fully renovated duplex in this area. Investor B puts down $32,000. Why? Well, they have to put down 20% with the bank. There's no two ways around it. The bank needs 20% on an investment property as a down payment. So investor B would have a monthly payment of $851. We know they're making $2,000. So let's subtract the $851. Oops, that's $581. $851. So we know investor B makes about $1,100 per month. Well, wait a second. Taxes, insurance. Let's say taxes are $600 a month. Let's say the insurance is about $150 a month. Investor B can expect to make $400 in passive income from their investment. Their investment costs them $32K down and $10K for closing costs. Their investment, investor B that is, cost them $42,000 in cash. Now I want to ask you a question. If I came to you and I took $42K from you and you're like, wait, that's not fair, give me my money back. And I said, okay, I'll give you $400 a month. How'd you feel? It's a real
Give me 400.
it's a real question. If you had 42K and I took your 42K from you and you're like, well, I want my money. And you said, well, I'll give you 400 a month of that. How would you feel? Ask yourself. Don't look for the right answer. You have 42,000 in a bank account. It's gone like that. What do you get in return for that? $400. How do you feel about that? Good or bad?
So you're speaking about seller finance?
No, I'm talking to you about your personal preference. Disregard everything. You have
Disregard everything.
you have
Okay.
you have $42,000. That is all you know. All you know is 42K. Okay. I take your 42K. Now you don't have 42K. I offer you back $400 per month. Do you feel good
For how long?
or
For
indefinitely?
how long?
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
Yeah. Do you feel good or do you feel bad?
Indefinitely, I would feel good.
You feel good? We should do that deal. We should do that deal. If so you're telling me you give me a 42K loan if I give you 400 a month? Because if you feel good about that, then you and I should talk. We should talk because I'll be real. You put that 42K in the stock market, you're gonna get more than that. So if you feel good about giving me the 400 a month, or I give you the 400 a month, great. But the reality is, an investor making 400 a month is making 4,000 a year. They spent 42 to buy it. That means it's going to take you 10 years to get your 42 back. 10 years to get your 42K back. So I just took your money and you don't get that back for a decade. A decade of no use of that money. It's an 11% return. It makes you 11% of your money. The real estate investors, they are not happy with spending 42 to make 400. They're not happy with that. And the reason they're not happy with that is, well, houses are inherently risky. Houses could burn down. Houses could have squatters. Houses could have a leak. They could have a flood. The taxes could go up. There could be a natural disaster. Could any of those things happen to your stocks? No. Houses also take time and effort and money and maintenance and management. Do stocks take time, effort, money, maintenance, and management? Maybe money, but not really any time or management. So you could passively put your 42K in the stock market as a person with money trying to invest and make 10%. So if you're going to put this into real estate, you better be making at least double that, because this is, this property here it's a risk. So we need to be making double that. We need to be making 2.5, triple that. Because buying real estate, not just this property, is inherently a risk. So we know that a form of investing that you and I could do right here, right now, is putting it in the stock market. But a form of investing that we could do that takes some time and money that might make us more is real estate. But we got to be making more than 10%. Otherwise, we might as well put that in a less risky, more passive investment that takes less time, less headache. And that would be the stock market, the S&P 500, which is what most people pick because it's the easy one. The hard one is real estate. The hard one is houses. And if we're going to invest in that, we got to be making 2 times the return. So the reality of this deal is, if an investor were to buy this at $160,000 and rent out for $2,500 per month with those taxes, they wouldn't make enough money for them to make sense to pull the trigger on the deal. Meaning that if I buy the property, I've got to sell it for below 160, probably closer to 140, not based on the comps, simply based off of what investors will pay based on how much money they'll make on the deal. So we know that the property is probably going to need at least 40,000 in work because it's a 100-year-old property. If I bought it for 130K, I'm gonna get foreclosed upon. The bank will take my house. I could never sell it. If I bought it for 180K, I'm the worst investor in the world, right? I wouldn't even be able to buy it there. My bank wouldn't say yes. They'd say no to the loan application. They'd say, we can't give you that loan. This is a bad deal. If I bought it at 130, I'd lose a shit ton of money. I'd be foreclosed upon. If I bought it at 100K, I might break even. If I bought it at 70K, I might make 30K. If I bought it at 60K, I might make 40K. So the price to get your deal at, for me to flip it to party B, investor B, who's going to make money on this, probably like 55K, so that I can buy it at 60K. And you know what's an interesting coincidence here? How much did the current owner of this property pay for this? How much did they pay? $55K.
Around.
They paid $55K. So Mr. Seller was like, I paid 55 and I didn't do anything to it. In fact, I had it vandalized. Well, maybe I could sell it for 180. And it's like, well, wait a second.
They put major work into it.
Okay, but if it got vandalized,
plumbing, electrical, flooring, paint.
But if it got vandalized, it's in bad condition again, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
When they say it got vandalized, someone took the toilet and the 2 vanities.
Okay.
Yeah, they came in through a window and that was repaired.
Okay.
So not totally like they came in and ransacked. Maybe could have been. I don't want to say that, but
so
could have been.
Let's
just say we lost the contractor.
So this property on my screen right here is selling for $150,000, and it's selling for $150,000 because you can see that it's leased at $950 and $1,000 on either side. We know that this return doesn't make sense right here. This thing isn't going to sell because the $950 and $1,000 for $150, the mortgage is going to be too close to the $2,000 that this thing makes, or $2,100. So we know it needs to be below that. Your property is the same thing. I'm going to sell this thing when it's all said and done. I'll renovate it for about $140K. Based on the cash on cash return. I know we got higher properties listed for sale here, but that's kind of what it needs to be, as illustrated by this neighbor's house right here. And that's just for multifamilies. That's not for single families. Single families play by an entirely different set of rules. So let's assume your property only needs $20K in work, which is a very, very light rehab for a 100-year-old house like this. If I'm going to sell it for $140 and it needs $20K, I probably need to pay $75, maybe $80 max, so that I can make my $40K on my 3-month project, right? So you, as the wholesaler, if it only needed $20K, which would be a very rare scenario, a very low amount of rehab in Detroit, if it only needed $20K, you as a wholesaler might want to offer $70K and sell it to me at $75. That way, I buy it at $75. I'm in it for $85 with closing costs, just off the bat, inherently in it for $85K. So I'm in it for $85, and then I put in my $20K rehab. Now I'm in it for $105K. Then I sell for $140 and I make my $35K and I'm happy. And then is my buyer happy? Yeah, my buyer's happy because he's getting his 20% return on his investment from or her investment from buying this property at $140,000. So we got to think about the kind of chain of handing off the property. You're the wholesaler who hands it off to the flipper. The flipper hands it off to the buyer. Who's the buyer? Retail buyer or investment buyer? And the reality is, and the reality is that buyer, yeah,
the seller's not happy.
Yeah. So the seller, they don't understand because it's nuanced. Most people don't understand. And they're like, well, I'm frustrated. I don't get it. And that's just part of the game. This, it would take some very careful explaining for me to explain to the seller why he'd need to sell for that price. And they might say, well, the neighbor's house sold for $200K. And I'd say, how long did it sit on market? And we'd look,
that they put money into it, and that they took out a private money loan to get the construction done. So, of course they want some type of return.
So this person right here bought this property for $200K, and now they're renting it out for $1,000 a side. So here's the thing. Yes, we do have 200K comps in the area, but how's that going for them? They've been on market for 20 days for $1,000 a month, right? And they haven't gotten their price yet, even though it's beautifully renovated. So this person flipped this property, and then they sold the property to an investor who we're going to call the sucker for about $200,000. Now, how's that going for them? How's it going for the investor that paid $200,000? Well, they're not going to do it again. You know why? Because they paid $200 and they put down $50K, and that resulted in them having a $1,064 monthly payment. But with taxes and insurance in this area, that $1,064 turns into what? Well, let's find out. Let's find out what taxes look like for a duplex in this area. This is a duplex right here. Oh, it says single family. Actually, maybe it's not a duplex. Is this a duplex? That's a duplex. Taxes on this duplex? Oh yeah, $700 a month. So as I said, $700 a month for taxes. Well, how's the investor who bought the name? Because this is what the seller would say. I'd go to the seller and say, hey, I would sell this thing for about 140 to 150K based on the cash on cash return the end buyer would get. And he'd say, no, the neighbors sold for 200. So you'd sell for 200. It's very basic. You'd sell for 200. And I'd say, that investor made the stupidest decision on earth. They are hoping and praying that they could undo it. They are so unhappy. And he's like, how do you know? How do you know? And I'm like, well, let's just look at what they got, man. Let's look at what they got. They bought the house for 200. Their payments 1,064. Well, 1,064 plus the $780 per month in taxes plus my 150 for insurance. They're paying $2,000 a month on this property. And you know how much they've failed to rent this thing for? Yes, failed to rent this thing for $1,000 per side. So they're not able to collect the rent on this property for $1,000 per side. We just looked at the house. This thing just sold for 200K. They just bought it for 200K, but this investor is brand new. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And I can't bank on another brand new investor coming in. I have to think that people understand 1 + 1 = 2, even though a lot of people don't. So, and what I mean by that is, well, this person's paying 2,000 and they're currently not generating the 2,000 that they thought they'd get. Right. And even if they did generate the 2,000 that they thought they'd get, they're paying 2,000. And even if they double generated that 2,000 that they thought they'd get, they still got their 20% rental expenses. So the deal that this investor bought into, investor, we're putting in quotations because they're not an investor. They're a money loser. They're good at losing money. The deal that this person bought is they put down 50K for the unique opportunity to lose $400 a month. Their 50K would go infinitely further in the stock market. And I can't bank on finding an investor that doesn't know about the stock market. Right. So yeah, we got suckers who buy these multifamilies for stupid prices, like this person we're seeing right here. But I can't build my business on finding another stupid person. I got to build my business on servicing real investors with real underwriting processes. So the number to contract this house at so that investor can make a real profit is, well, I'd sell it for 140 and I need to put in 20. So you probably need to get it for 75 or 70 and then sell it to me for 75. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It makes sense.
All right.
I received every type of offers. The highest offer that I received was 128.
I would take it.
The lowest was the 55, but they needed to do a DSCR loan, and it's not.
No DSCR loans fund for 55, right? They need a higher price.
At the 128.
So yeah, so I think that if you had an investor who wanted to pay 128, that investor is selling it for 200, and that investor is banking on their ability to sell it to a buyer who is not going to make any money on the sale. Right?
No, they were going to keep it. They were going to keep it for a DSCR loan and they wanted the tenants to be in it already.
Yeah, they want that evidence up front. Yeah. So yeah, I would say I'd say that on a deal like this, the price to get it at to probably definitively get it sold is 70K so that somebody can make 40K flipping it. And you probably get yourself a $5,000 to $10,000 finder's fee off of a price like that. And the seller's not going to understand that, but that's the reality of it. That's just, we deal with an illogical thought process every single day, and we have to try to mitigate that. Anyways, I would lock it up at that price.
And doing so at 70K, what about the loan that they?
Well,
not going to satisfy the loan.
Then they're in a real predicament. And what we could do is we could offer. Your seller is in a real predicament, very motivated, as we can see. And what we could do is you could offer to take over that debt. But now that's a whole different type of offer. And now that we're taking over debt on a distressed property that needs a little bit of work, well, we probably might want to only offer them like 5 to 10K to take over that debt, given that the property is going to need a little bit of work and buyers aren't going to love that it needs work. So yeah, I would say you could offer to take over the debt, but that doesn't really give them their asking price. So what's going to have to happen is they're going to have to sit in delusion land for some time. And then after a while, they will come to terms, either because the market appreciates to their price that they're looking for, or because their expectations adjust.
Okay.
So the money's in the follow-up. We follow up with people like that because that could still be a deal, probably just not right now.
Yes.
Anyways,
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a couple more questions. Thank you so much too. I'm gonna take a couple more questions. Nice to speak with you. And quick bathroom break because I've been chugging water. And we will resume in about 45 seconds. Give me 45 seconds. We will resume. Okay. All right. 1 sec, guys. I'll be right back. We got a great audience on YouTube today. Haven't fully acknowledged you guys, but welcome to Hold My Hand Wholesale. If you want to partake in the Q&A and the courses that we have, I will go ahead and link that in the chat for you. www.hmhw.group. That link is in your bio, TikTok, your bio. Instagram, you're not here anymore because my audio got muted. They didn't like us spreading knowledge about how to make money online. Like that. All right. Give me 45 seconds, guys. Bathroom break. Be right back. All right, we're back. More questions. We're back. Okay. And then I gotta play pickleball. I gotta play pickleball after this. Isn't that just the best work-life balance? I woke up. I got a nice little haircut. I don't know if you guys could tell. A nice little haircut going on. And then I went to the gym. Today was shoulder day. And then I came back and I had breakfast. And then I hopped on here and I got to do a little TED Talk. Now I'm answering questions. And then when I'm done, we're going to eat like a full pint of ice cream. It's made out of low-fat milk and it's crazy. Full pint of ice cream. Ninja Creamy is the shit. You got to try it. And then it's off to pickleball. And something else that I could yap about for hours is that you can be 6-pack abs shredded on a 2 pints of ice cream per day. You just gotta be eating the right stuff. You gotta make that shit at home. I wish I could talk about that, but I don't really have an audience that wants to hear about that. Because I could talk about that. You ever get hit on at the gym? No, actually never. No, not once. I'm that's not sarcastic. I'm 100% serious. I have guys come up to me and say, "Yo, are you that guy on TikTok who makes videos?" And then they try to engage in a 20-minute conversation with me about doing their first deal. And I'm like, bro, I'm in the middle of my set. Go join Hold My Hand Wholesale. Get out of here. Okay. All right. Next user, I kid you not, his name is Cheeks. Cheeks, what's going on?
It's her.
Oh.
Hi, Richard.
I'm so sorry. My apologize.
That's okay, Richard. That's okay. Question. I have 2 off-market deals or leads that I'm working on. And I need to, are you able to pull off-market deals?
I am. I am. Where are you calling out of today?
Florida.
Florida. Where are you in Florida?
Fort Pierce.
Fort Pierce. Hell yeah. Fort Pierce, Florida, in the house. We're going to look at her deal. Cheeks, you want to give me an address? I'm ready.
Oh, am I allowed to give it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. The first address is that's hold on. Let me get it. 6313 Adams Street, Hollywood, Florida.
6313 Adams. And what do you think the use of this property is? That's always number one. What do we use this for?
I think she told me it was rented out.
Okay.
I think. I've been doing a lot of calls, so I got all kind of stuff all in my head.
Now, so, I'm looking up 6613 Adams Street.
6313.
Oh, I am so sorry. It's a long day. Not really that long of a day. 6313 Adams Street, and that's in Hollywood, Florida. I found it. Sorry about that. Okay, so she's got a tenant in place. My first question is that a 12-month lease or a month-to-month lease? That'll let us know if we have to continue renting the property or if we can renovate.
She said that the lease would, I guess, at closing, it'll be vacant.
Okay, at closing they'll leave. Now, condition-wise,
Yeah.
good condition property, bad condition property.
Well, I wasn't able to pull up the property. That's why I asked for you able. I can't even.
Well, that's the
property
first
up.
question we got to ask the seller. You spoke to him, right?
Yes, I spoke to her.
So one of our first questions on off market is, yo, what's this property looking like? You know, I'm not at this house. I don't live here. What's it looking like on the inside? That's got to be question one.
She did tell me that it do need rehab.
Okay.
You know, it's got to have a lot of rehab. I have some comps because she sent me in the comps for the rehab. They're asking $389.9. The ARV came back $550. The comps that she sent me, there was a 760 Southwest 64th Way, Hollywood, Florida, that sold for $545K.
Well, let's pull it up on Zillow. I'm gonna match this address up to Zillow, and we're gonna find out exactly what this will sell for right now. So house looks like it's a 2-bed, 1-bath. And to answer your question, I have some photos of the property here. I have very minimal photos, but I do have some. It looks like a mid-condition rental property needing a new roof. I couldn't tell you how old they are. It says July 2022, but not necessarily July 2022. So the photos are kind of old, and it doesn't look like it's in great shape, but it doesn't look like it's in terrible shape either. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up this property on Zillow.
Okay.
I'm going to find this thing in Miami in Hollywood, Florida. And then I'm going to go to that area of Zillow. So I'm going to say Hollywood, Florida homes. And then we're going to remove our boundary, and I'm just going to line this up. I'm going to line this up. So let's look for some landmarks. I see the 595 highway. Let's see if I can find the 595. There's the 595. We are 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks down, 4 subdivisions down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a diagonal in between this road right here. So let's look for that. So there's the 595. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a diagonal in between Florida's T-Pike Toll Road in Beverly Park, right there. And then we are in that second box by the highway. So I found us on the map. There it is. Okay. Now, looking at the neighbors' houses, there's a 2-bed, 1-bath with 700 square feet for sale at $379K right now. You are a 2-bed, 1-bath with 1660 square feet. So you've got more square footage than this guy. We got another one, 3.2, 993 square feet for $460. We got another one, 4.2, 1410 square feet for $450. So it seems like you have room to add a bedroom in here to make this thing a potential 3.2 or a 3.1. And if we look at the sold opportunities in this area, we got some very, very good comps right here showing $445 for a 1,600 square foot property. 445, 1,600 square feet. Interior appears to be not really renovated. We got a 435 for a 3.2 right here, not really renovated. And we got a 600K for a 4.3 fully renovated. We got a 425, not really renovated. So wow, here's a 535 renovated. So
I'm not able to see what you're saying, Richard, because I'm disconnected for some reason.
Can everybody see my screen share? Is my screen share working? Absolutely, Royalty here to help. So it looks like my screen share is working for everybody else. So I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on your end, but I can see 2 very valid comps right here. We need to be adding a bedroom or a bathroom. And if we do that, the property will sell for between 500 and 600K. So 535 to 600K is what this thing could sell for, which is great news. Your seller has an asking price of what?
$389.9.
I think you're in the money. I think you're about to get a deal done. They want 389, and it could potentially sell for 530K to 600K, depending on how many beds and baths we can add on the layout of the property. So they want 389. It could sell potentially for 535 to call it 550. So 389.9, call it 400K to 550. How much is it going to need? Probably 80K probably 90K, maybe something like that, because we're damn near in Miami. So how much? So I think somebody might want to make close to 100 on this thing because it's Miami Metro. So if they want 389.9 and you offered them 325 and our buyer paid 335 and they put in 15 for closing costs, they put in 80K rehab, they're in it for 430, it'll sell for 530. So I would love to partner with you on this deal. And I would love to talk to your seller first thing tomorrow about a potential offer of anywhere between 310 and upwards of 330. So I could do anywhere from 310 to 330. I think 315. If we sold it for 315 and the buyer paid 330, you'd make $15,000. We'd make that together. You'd keep the majority. And I think we could talk your seller down to that. I think we could. So I think we offer them about 315K. They want 389. That's about a 65K price drop, right? 65, 5 is 73. No, it's 75K price drop. But I think that's doable. We see it all the time. So I'd love to have a conversation with them first thing tomorrow. So how about I bring you up first thing tomorrow? I'll call and I'll close that lead for you. I've got a buyer off the top of my head. I actually could send him the property right now. I've got a really big influencer flipping houses here, and I could give him a call, and I could sell this to him for probably about 330 to 340K, and anything you get below that becomes your profit. Somebody says, I don't see the Discord, man. Eli, it's called Hold My Hand Wholesale. You can Google it. It's the first link in my bio. It's been there for a number of years, and it's not necessarily just a Discord, but some classes happen on the Discord. You can also find it by going to this link, www.hmhw.group. So that you can also go there. So I can pin this comment for anybody who also wants to go there. That's where our courses are held. The live streams are on the Discord. You can get Discord access by joining that community right there for $20. Okay. So yeah, this deal has real potential. It really does have real potential, and I'd love to bring you up first thing tomorrow, okay? So, Cheeks, I'm going to bring you up tomorrow. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., bring up Cheeks.
There's nothing called bring up Cheeks.
Tomorrow at 2 p.m., remind me to bring up Cheeks.
Okay, I added it.
That's what it says. It says bring up Cheeks. Okay. Well, we shall see you tomorrow at 2 p.m., okay? And that's Pacific times.
I have one more deal.
Oh, you got another one?
Yeah, it's off market and it's a flip.
Okay. Let's.
Address is 7209 Northwest 76th Street, Tamarack, Florida.
Okay.
They're asking $299.9.
Is this a triplex?
I can't pull them up, so
7209 Northwest 76, correct? Tamarack?
yes.
Okay. What are they asking?
$299.9.
Okay. Well, let's do exactly what we just did. Let's line it up on the map, then line it up on Zillow. Let's find the landmarks, and then let's zoom in. First deal you showed me I liked.
And she said it's a HOA for $40 per month. Does that make it worse?
Yeah, but marginally, nobody really cares, especially on a fix and flip. Who cares? Florida is the land of HOAs. There's not much we can do. So Pompano Beach. Let's find this on Zillow. Here it is. Let's grow the zip code. Let's go for sale. Let's remove the boundary. Pompano Beach. Great. Looking up my zip code here. Here's the zip code. I'm going to remove the boundary again. So we're somewhere around here. Let's see if we can line up these landmarks. There's this curve in the highway, Florida's Turnpike. North Lauderdale. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks, and we're in the second one. Under Coral Springs, second one. So we'll go to the end. Coral Springs. Well, now that's a different area. That's a different area. I'm thinking we didn't find the right property. 7209. Well, we'll just have to line it up. There's not much we can do. So there's Coral Springs. We're one below in Tamarack. There's Tamarack, and then zooming in, Tamarack, and then we are right here by those waterways. There are those waterways. Let's identify the waterways. Northwest 73rd. There's Northwest 73rd, and we're in this big block right there. Found it. Okay, now we can comp. So your property is a 3-2. Its condition is shown on PropStream. It looks like it's in, okay shape. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's grandma's house. Okay. And they're asking for what price?
$299.9. She say the roof is 12 years old and the AC is 15 years old. So I guess that needs to be done. We finished.
Okay. So if I do cosmetic rehab on this, 3-2, it is 1581 square feet. 3-2, 1581 square feet. 3-2, 1581 square feet. Okay, so let's draw around this area. We're going to be looking for a 3-2. Come on, Zillow. We're going to work, right? Look for a 3-2. What the hell? Oh, now it's working. 3-2, 1581 square feet. 3-2, 1581 square feet. We're going to look in the past 12 months. Very active area. Very active area. Very good market to wholesale in. Florida is one of the best markets to wholesale in. It's an amazing market. So we're going to price these things high to low. We got some great sales in this area. We're looking for a 3-2 with 1581 square feet, and we want it to be kind of a ranch style with a one-car garage. 3-2, 1581 square feet. That was a garage made into a room. 3-2, 3-2, 1800, 3-3, 1600. So 1582 square feet. Let's go ahead and put in a square footage filter here because there's so many deals. Square footage max, we'll do 1750. Okay, 520. 495, 475, 465, 467, 460, 457, yeah, nice. Hell yeah. So if this thing's renovated, it'll go for like 450 to 500. 450 to 500. What do you say they wanted? 290?
299.9.
Hell yeah. That's almost a deal.
So
that it'll sell for 455 cosmetic rehab. So we just need this like 50K below. So that's another deal. You got two awesome deals right there that I will call and I will close for you tomorrow. Prep your sellers for calls tomorrow around 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay.
I will.
Yeah. So those are both deals. Both of what you have are deals. You could probably make $30,000 on the two of those. This is good. Very good opportunities you've put together here. Great market. Love what you found. No notes for you. I think that you've done an excellent job.
Thank you, Richard.
Absolutely. Talk soon. Great. She's great. She's excellent. She's killed it. I don't know where the hell she found these. Yeah, as far as my screen share, guys, I don't know what happened to it, but all I did is I just looked in the area, see the sales. So the sales here are showing anywhere from like 450 to 500,000 if we price them high to low and scroll to the ones that are actually comps. So look at this, 500,000, 500K right here, right? And that thing's 1,300 square feet. So yeah, definitely yes. We're going. It's right here. Sorry guys, I was looking at the wrong tab, but these are both fire deals. I have a buyer who'd pick up both of these. I honestly have no complaints for her. I think she's done an excellent job, and I honestly think she's in the money, and whatever she's doing, keep doing it. Okay. So next will be Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad, where are you calling out of today?
Hello, Richard. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you? Where are you from, man?
I'm good. I'm calling from UAE.
Oh, okay. So first language Arabic?
Yes.
Wow, and he's doing it. He's making it happen. How can I help you today, man?
I've sent you the details in the DMs if you can check them out.
Perfect.
But it's basically a deal in Iowa, but like it needs a licensed brokerage to assign it to the buyer, I think. So if you can help.
Absolutely. Let's check it out. Iowa's a great market. We got a video for today. I'll tell you about it, but you can turn it off. We got oh yeah. Could go viral for sure. The numbers I've been holding are highest numbers I've ever seen on YouTube. 170 people on TikTok. We had 80 people on Instagram's live stream and almost 300 people in Hold My Hand Wholesale too. Okay. So this is in Davenport? Davenport?
Yes.
Okay.
Davenport, yeah.
Somebody says show the shorts. Dude, I'm not wearing my shorts today. Okay. Davenport fix and flip. Yeah, multifamily fix and flip. Interesting.
I don't think it's a fix and flip. It's a rental.
So I'll share my screen. Can you see my screen?
No. Yeah, I can now.
Okay. This exterior is cooked. I don't know what the houses look like in the UAE.
Oh, yeah.
But that exterior right there, I mean, shit. We got a new roof right here. That's 3,000. We got a new roof right here. That's 12,000 because if you fall, you die. And what I mean by that is the higher up the roof, the higher the price, because if you fall off this roof while fixing it, you die. So they need a higher price for that. We probably have new windows in the property, new siding, exterior alone. And I don't even know what the hell is going on here. Exterior alone, 30K. We haven't even gotten into the interior of the property yet. Going into the interior, you're right. It's not so bad. So, not no rental. I get it. Looks like a rental property, but the exterior, whoa, they got whipped cream on the ceiling. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell is that, bro? What have you done?
It's been on market for like 150 days, so
they put
something.
They put meringue on the ceiling, bro. What is that? Bro, how does this happen? What have they done? Look at this. I've never seen anything like that before. What did you do? Whoa. It's things like this that make a property special. Oh yeah, man. This is a flip if I've ever seen one. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is a flip, dog. There's a flip. You know, he's like, oh, I guess people in the United States just live. You're just living in UAE, balling out in UAE, and you're thinking, I guess people in the United States just live like that, huh? Hell no, bro. Hell no. I should show you how I live. Oh my God, no, we can't live like this, man. I know we're low key a third world country now, but no, we can't live like that. So that's a fix and flip for sure, and you know, we talked about what it means to flip a multifamily. You're after repair value on this multifamily. I don't care about the comps. It's got to be 130 to 140K. And the reason I say that is because that's what your buyer's cash on cash return your buyer's cash on cash return would only hit 20% in Davenport, Iowa at 130 to 150 max. Because it's a 5.2 and maybe a 6.2 if we convert another room to something else. So I would say that as a flip, we need this deep. We need this thing deep, because as I said, 30K on the outside, probably 25K on the inside. Haven't even seen the mechanicals. Didn't even go through all the photos. I stopped at the whipped cream. I stopped at the whipped cream. Look at that. They got whipped cream in other parts of the house too. Holy shit. What's the chat saying? Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Yusuf, check your text, dog. Check your text, okay? So yeah, you know, yeah, man, this thing is rough. This is probably a 50K job. It just looks bad. I'm gonna say 55K too, because the roof's gonna be pricey as hell, and the siding needs replaced, and the windows need replaced, and there's interior work. So if it's a 55K job and it needs to sell for 140, you should get it at 40 or 50K. You should get this like at 40K. And then beyond that, I don't know a ton of people flipping multifamily in Davenport, Iowa. There are people flipping multifamily in Davenport, Iowa, but because you're not in one of our main markets where my team has hotspots for buyers, simple solution. You're going to go to Buy Box Cartel and you're going to cold call buyers until you find somebody who flips in Davenport, Iowa. Because if I scratch my head real hard and I'm like, who do I know who wants to flip a multifamily in Davenport? I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know. And that's okay because I can't know buyers everywhere. And if you go to the buyers list and you look up this property, I bet somebody flipped the neighbor's house. I bet they did. So if we look up Flipper here and we let this thing do its math, posting this one last time, not meant to be scam. Appreciate this group, not trying to step on anyone's toes, just looking to team up with somebody here. I run a sales construction company. I live on the phone. Closing is what I do. Hell yeah, bro. I've got the wholesale system down, comps, buyers list, paperwork, need a strong, finding motivated sellers, partner to work with, split the fee. I pay per qualified lead and you call. You're looking for a virtual assistant because that is what that is. But you could also work with somebody here. They're paying for leads. You're paying for leads. Do I recommend paying for leads? No, but you could, and it sometimes works. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. It would work. It would work. I think, yeah, I think it's fine. I definitely take the courses, but you know, this guy's willing to pay for the hottest leads in the world. Yes, but Yusuf, I'll talk about this on stream. Guys, I don't want to have my biggest buyers be circumvented. Yusuf sells so many deals to my biggest buyers that he now has their phone number, and I don't want him to go around to sell to them. Why? Because that takes up your guys' capacity to sell to them. So my ask, what I texted Yusuf is like, hey, if you're going to sell to those buyers, it's okay, but please go through us because we want to use this capacity of this amazing buyer group for the community within Hold My Hand Wholesale. Keep in mind, I'm not really making any money on these deals, guys. Y'all are keeping the majority of the profit, and then I got bonuses to pay and payroll to pay. So it's not like I need all the money, I need all the deals thing. It's like, well, wait a second. This buying group, Joseph and Quaid, they can't buy everything, but they can buy a lot. And if I have one person that just is like, no, I'm going to sell to them on the side, it's like, well, it takes away from the whole. So my hope is that feed them as much as you possibly can, but you know, go through me if you're going to sell through my buyers so that it doesn't take up the rest of the group's capacity to sell to that buyer. Cause you know, we're building our buyers list. It's getting bigger all the time. Anyways, I don't know how this, we don't need to talk about it too much right now, but that's all I ask, Yusuf. And I bet you're going to say, well, I'm not Richard. I'm very respectful. I'm doing that. And I bet you are, because you are so respectful and I appreciate it very much. But I just wanted to, you know, it's not a greedy money thing. It's let's let the community feed them, not just one. But with that said, feed as much as you possibly can to them through the proper channels, if that makes sense. Anyways, going back to Buy Box Cartel, you know, we're in Davenport, and how many people are flipping in Davenport? Well, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a 3 mile radius, maybe 6 in a 3 mile radius. So are these guys ready to buy again? Maybe. How do we bring buyers from other markets to Davenport? Creative finance. Creative finance. Why? Because a creative finance buyer like myself will own in 10 different states, because creative finance deals are rare. They pop up all over the place. I got a quadplex in Minneapolis. I got a 5-unit in Omaha. I got an Airbnb in the Poconos, Pennsylvania. I got a single family in Denver. I got a single family in Tyler, Texas. I got a single family in Atlanta. I got a single family in Oregon, right? All creative deals all over the map. So how do we get creative deals, creative buyers to be like, yeah, I'll buy that shit somewhere else? Well, we do what Jesimar did, who's on the stage, and we lock up some banger thing that's in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, Connecticut, Meriden, Connecticut. And then we call a buyer who mostly buys in Florida and Puerto Rico. And we're like, yo. So I know that Florida and Puerto Rico is your market, but you like money, don't you? Yeah, I know you like money. I know you like money. Guess what I have for you? 0% interest, seller finance, 16 or 13 units in Meriden, Connecticut. And he's like, bro, what the fuck is Meriden, Connecticut? And I'm like, where else are you getting a 0% interest complex like this? And he's like, yo, true. Books a flight, flies out there, cops the deal, sends Jesimar 50,000. Other buyer sends him 20,000. That other buyer's in the Netherlands and buys all over the place, right? So you gotta find yourself a deal that is on creative terms if you're gonna pull them into an interesting market. Yes, we start to swear more as the stream ends, because I won't get banned for swearing, and if I do, who cares? The stream's almost over. So we got Mr. Jesimar here. How you doing?
Yo, Rich, what's up?
Hey, dude, how you doing?
I'm chilling. I think I have a banger in Birmingham, but
I bet
don't
you do.
know about the comps, really. I'm trying to find comps on it, and it's kind of tough for me.
Okay.
So I sent it to you. I have it. I'm gonna lock it up at 40. You can show it. You can show your process of the fix and flip stuff.
Thank you,
It's off
dog.
market.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Shake. Thanks, Shake some. Shakes. I appreciate it, man. I hope to provide value. I never thought I'd ever be in a position to provide value to other people as I sat through my special ed classes in high school with a woman with a colorful jacket on to make sure that we don't go run away. Okay, so looking up this property address, Zillow is terrible, so we got to look up the address on Google Maps, and then we got to line it up. That always takes a second, but it's a smaller market. Jesmer, I'd also recommend trying a market like Memphis, because Memphis, you know, honestly, there's like the 4 best ones or 5 best ones. They've got to be St. Louis, Memphis, Indianapolis, Cleveland, Detroit, and Birmingham, and just that like trifecta, but 6 is just that's just so heat. How do I feel about Birmingham? Birmingham's great for flipping, but your rent numbers are so low, but your prices are above the 20% cash on cash return. It's weird. So we're gonna go to Birmingham, and then we're gonna zoom in.
Thinking about moving to Indianapolis too, though. Like you said, I'm thinking about moving to that market too. It's gonna be Connecticut, Bama, and Indianapolis for sure.
Yeah, and I think fix and flips in Birmingham are heat. St. Louis also very heat, very, very heat. I don't know why we don't do more in St. Louis. Maybe it's because it's stupid violent, but deals fly there. And then if you get some shit in Akron, I mean, Mike's been crushing it over there. Okay, so let's find this thing. Birmingham. Yeah. Oh my!
It's a weird one. It's like by a church. I mean, it's a good area. It's weird.
And okay, I found that interesting. It's in Bush Hills. Okay, I'm looking here. There's that little bend, and then you're diagonal of the bend. There's a little bend, diagonal of the bend. Found you. Okay, now we got to learn what you are. You are a 3-1, 1500. Your condition is unknown. Flip?
Flip, yeah. He told me it was recently vacated, so it's in good condition. I always kind of just run it at 40K rehab, even if I don't know. 40, 45. Because, you know.
Right, yeah, it's usually around there.
You know.
Okay. For sale and sold. Okay.
There was a 4.3 or something that sold for 220 right next to it, but it's 4.3 and it's bigger, so I don't know.
Interesting mixture of
that comp.
Interesting mixture of like high sales and low. Like, look at that really beautiful fix and flip, and then right next door, hood property. How interesting. Maybe it's just like maybe this market's just converting right here. Maybe it's just changing from hood to nice. Thank you, Lego. Okay, so we're going to go sold. We're going to do past 12 months. We're going to notice your year built being 1930, historic, cool. We're going to price high to low. All right, so you have 1,500 square feet as a 3-1, and this is 1,400 square feet as a 3-2. The year built on this, though, 1941, that's a comp. The year built on this, 1950, pretty, I'd call it a comp, yeah. Nice rehab here, nice rehab. That's a rehab, red door. Hell yeah. Dude, you're cooking. Yeah, this is flipping central, bro. I mean, interesting that, but you know why these people are buying these? Sometimes it's worth asking yourself, who bought it? Who bought this? Right. And at this price, it's got to be an investor. So these are all flips. People are buying flips here left and right. So let's see if we can find this thing really quickly, because I want to know who's buying these shit boxes. Yep, Birmingham Real Estate Solutions LLC. 7 houses. Yeah. So you got a really nice area right here, man. Not nice as in like nice, renovated, beautiful luxury area. In a year, this place is going to be expensive. It's going to be a nicer part of Birmingham because all the shit boxes are being purchased left and right for renovation because for whatever reason, people have deemed this to be a nice area to live. Let's look at the street view. Sometimes I like to look at the street view. Let's try to understand it. Okay. I don't understand it, but that's that. You know what? Maybe Birmingham is a different way of living. Yeah, this is how this other guy thought we lived.
I'll never understand it. I'm not gonna lie. I'll never understand it, to be honest. But hey, people are buying, so
I remember we looked at something similar in New York near your neck of the woods, and it was like a $1 million single family, and it was not in the hood, but I was just like, damn, bro,
Try to
here,
show you, man.
this area, oh my god, that's rough. But yeah, this is worse. This is oh my god, I'd be so sad living here, but I guess other people are not. This is July 2026 too. Holy shit. Yeah, hell yeah, bro. Somebody will pick this up. This is a great area. This is a great, I mean, depending on your numbers, 45K rehab. And
yeah, 40, yeah. I got it at 40 though.
Dude, you know what's just so, have you tried this yet? Have you tried this thing yet, man?
What?
Am I sharing my screen? Oh shit.
No, I didn't share your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dude.
I think it's a banger at 40.
It is a banger at 40, 100%. Your ARV is way above that. Your ARV is like $200,000, 180, 200K. And it probably doesn't need that much work. But dude, I mean, I've lost your subject property. Let's see if I can find it. Was it this one, hopefully? You've got a ton of people buying these really cheap properties around here. When I click sold, guys, look at all these cheap properties. I pull up one of them. It's owned by an investor. So investors are just buying auction properties left and right here. And, you know, maybe we can find you a buyer, but an even better way to find your own buyer, go to buyer's list and shit, man. You're going to have 1 million people flipping in here, 1 million people flipping in this location. Come on, show me the address. 20th Street in Bakersfield, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham.
Birmingham, yeah.
Fix and flipper, watch this. Search. Bro, what are we doing? Okay, I'm going to refresh it. This worked seconds ago. It thinks it's in Birmingham, not Ensley, which is Birmingham. Here. Don't do it again. Oh my God. I can't believe it worked 30 minutes ago. Now it has an issue. Hold on. Let me send this to Chris. Yo, bug. Okay. Gotta send this to Chris. God damn it. That's crazy work. Crazy work. Okay. Okay, so this just popped up. Wasn't happening 30 minutes ago. Probably very frustrating. You click fix and flipper and it does this. And it's like, I know we have lots of buyers right here. You look up the address, you look up fix and flip, and then it just doesn't go to the location. And this was not happening 30 minutes ago. It was not happening 30 minutes ago. So this is a bug. I don't know how to fix it, but that's a bug. That's
I
so.
was just because the comps was kind of throwing me off because, like you said, it was up and down. But all right, cool. I think where I had it at anyway was a deal. Just yeah, I was wondering how you deal with those type of areas.
I would just accept that people are buying this area left and right to renovate it, and for whatever reason, people want to live there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I like it. It's a banger. It's a steal.
All right. Yeah. All right, Rich. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wheel spin time. Wheel spin time, bro.
That's good.
It's time, and then it's Game of Thrones and ice cream time. All right. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And we probably have another live stream speaker after this. So probably somebody will go live. Your buds want to fix and flip this duplex? I'm sure they do, Pam. I'm sorry I spent today for beginners, guys. Some days it's important for me to work with the beginners. So yeah, today was just one of those days. Vlad, I got you, man. You got that thing under contract. That's a banger deal, dude. I unfortunately can't call buyers at this time and get them to reliably pick up their phone. But you know what, Vlad? I know what you're here for. Tomorrow at 1:45 p.m., remind me to bring up Vlad.
Okay, I added bring up Vlad for tomorrow.
Tomorrow at... Actually, that's enough. Pam, you can just come up anytime. You're a group leader, man. You can come up anytime. We have something pending. I got you, man. I let them know about it. I called them before this. So I called I'm going to, you know what? We'll make a quick call to Quaid really quickly because I know you guys want me to. You know, we'll do a quick call to Quaid. I'll remind him of those deals.
Hey, Richard.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Great stream today. Just following up on, I guess we have Martindale Street, which is a flip that we have in our contract, and Harding Street, which is also a flip that we have under contract, and then Merland, which is my flip for y'all to walk hopefully tomorrow.
Yes, that should have been scheduled. I'll have to follow up to see. I'll check in with the chat here, but that was on a meeting this morning. That should be taken care of. I'll follow up. Martindale right here. Martindale. And then Harding. Let me see if we've got confirmation. Let me follow up with a couple of our team members real quick, and then I can find out. And then what else can I find out for you?
Those are the three that were off the top of my head: Harding and Martindale. And then, you know, we still have 3 unplaced properties from Cleveland, which I'm close friends with the seller. Very, very close friends. One of my closest real estate buddies. So I know we have time on those. We placed East 74th,
45th,
Newark,
East 75th.
Yeah, Donald almost done. I think that should be done by now, just like my Merlin property was finishing it.
Okay.
Parkgate's good. Newark is good. Yeah, so those are good ones. But I would say for now, just check on Harding and Martindale, because the clock is ticking on Harding and Martindale. And then, yeah, if we can get somebody to walk Merlin tomorrow, let's run that.
Okay, yeah, let me confirm all that right now.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We definitely. What part of the United States do you live in?
I'm in Vegas. Well, I have a house here in Vegas, but I'm only in Mexico.
Why do you
I have family in Utah.
Why do you live in Vegas?
Well, I lived in San Diego for 6 years. COVID hit, and ended up just being a really good time for business and everything. I was getting killed with California taxes, so ended up moving my residency to Vegas. I don't want to live in Vegas, which is why I spend the majority of the year in Mexico.
Right.
But it's just kind of just easy, just tax residency right now.
You ever think about Phoenix?
Yeah.
Phoenix.
I don't think Arizona is income tax free.
Arizona, I don't know about income tax in Arizona, but what I do know is that their property taxes are some of the lowest. If I were to buy a wholesale deal for a rental, I'd want it to be in Phoenix, but it would have to be on creative terms because nothing cash flows over there with the prices.
Gotcha. Well, I'm doing cost segregation now with my income, so that's helping a lot. So really the tax state doesn't really matter as much, going heavier into the real estate. But it could be a possibility. I don't think I would live there year round, just like I wouldn't live here year round in Vegas. Yeah, it's brutal. Right. I mean, this week's been nice because it's been like 80 with rain, but that doesn't really ever happen.
Well, shit, man.
And that's over. It's hot today, though.
I don't have a job. We should we've talked a lot over these past. I think it was a rocky start because we didn't understand each other's criteria, and we were just stepping on toes.
For sure,
right.
Yeah.
But it's been better now, and we should connect in person sometime.
Well, definitely, I would love to. I need to make it out to, because you're in San Diego, LA? Or?
No, I'm always in San Diego because I love San Diego. I just like you. I don't always stay in my home area because I live in Portland. It's rainy, so I go to San Diego all the time. Right. But yeah, I go to San Diego all the time. God, I hate Vegas though. It's just it's so rough. Yeah. It's so rough. But
the
yeah,
thing I really like about Vegas is it's like conveniency. I can get Uber super easy, Amazon's next morning, like Costco's within a couple hours delivery. Like because I don't go out to stores or anything. I just have everything delivered, so that makes it super easy here.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe
family time doesn't work, but yeah.
I've been to. I sometimes I ski Alta. Sometimes I ski.
Oh, there you go, nice.
Yeah, Alta's nice, but maybe when I'm in San Diego, we can link. Because what is that, like 4 hours from Vegas by car or something?
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll let you know when I'm there again, and we can make something happen.
Yeah, let me know next.
All right, cool. All right. Well, we'll talk.
Perfect. Catch you later, Richard. See you.
Bye-bye. See, this is gonna help us do more business, but also, he sounds like a good guy. I like Quaid. We started off kind of like butting heads because I didn't understand what he was looking for, and he didn't understand my process either. And it was like y'all would get something under contract, and then he would drop the ball on it. And now it's like moving along really well there. But yeah, there's your follow-ups, guys. All right. I followed up with those deals that you wanted. But okay, let's give away some shit. All right, I'm gonna give you guys an option. Am I spinning the wheel or am I giving away a pack of Quest bars? Am I spinning the wheel or am I giving away the Quest bar pack? Everybody wants the wheel. All right. Dude, isn't this getting crazy? Isn't this getting crazy? TikTok, look at this shit. Yo, it's getting crazy. I think I'm sitting at I think this has got to be like guys, what do you think? Help me out. What is that? Like 10% or 9%? Holy shit. And I'm eating like a pack of ice cream a day too. Mike, I know you're in fitness, so I'll take your word for it. Foam roller. How girls would pull on Miami Beach over /100. What does that mean, Pam? How girls would rich pull on the over? Oh, how many? I don't know, dude. The internet is torn. The internet thinks I'm gay. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I've never really spoken on it. I've purposely never spoken on whether I am or am not. How many guys would I pull? How many girls would I pull? How many both would I pull? Who knows? Why are you gay? What? That got posted in the chat. I'm not saying that. Okay. So we're gonna do a foam roller today. We're giving away a foam roller. And we're gonna give that away. I mean, what do y'all want? Keep the suspense going. Marvel trivia. I love Marvel. I like Marvel, except for the new Marvel. New Marvel is dog shit. One-on-one. No, I gave away a one-on-one already. I have to do that on Wednesday with this guy. Thinking. How about a real estate one, guys? My camera just froze. Shit. How about a real estate one, guys? Camera's coming back on. Just a sec. Okay, the real estate one. Doomsday is gonna be hard, dude. Doomsday is gonna be sick. At least I hope it is. Closing is not tomorrow. What? He told me it was tomorrow. Did something move? Omar? Oh wait, you don't have you're Pinehurst and Auburn. I was thinking about Joanne Street. I was thinking about Joanne Street. Okay, so that's gonna be give away a weekend in person. Bro, there's people here who I just hang out with. I mean, Jesmar, you can come through. You can come through. I got a place for you to stay, Jesmar. Jesmar can come through. I mean, if I know you for long enough, man, we can just hang out. As I said, I don't have a ton of friends out here because this is what I do during my time with my time. Yeah, Johnny O come out, Jesmar come out. I know y'all. I know you guys. Pam come out. Pam and I already hung out. Pam and I already connected. I saw Pam. I didn't charge Pam anything to see Pam in Detroit. We just had a good time. We got breakfast together. It was fun. Put cookies on the wheel. Oh shit, you're right. I should do that. I need to do that. Yeah, RR, you were literally here like 3 or 4 days ago. Bro's like, can I come? And he was at my doorstep a couple days ago. Oh, Juan too. Yeah, I can't believe I've never met Juan before. But I got so many friends in here who I'd love to hang out with. Okay. We're going to type out my real estate question. My real estate question is, okay. Guys, we'll do a meetup here soon. I'll do a meetup when I really just want to schedule it. I really just want to schedule the event. Big hold my hand wholesale event, like 1,000 people there. We need to do that because I have such a good time. Such a good time doing that. Okay. Okay, here's my question. 3, 2, 1. If a rental buyer only buys in Atlanta, Georgia, how can we present them a deal in Canton, Ohio, and actually have them close on it? Oh, that's got to be the winner right there. Mora for the win. Seller financing. As I said, guys, if you're a buyer who only buys in Atlanta, Georgia, no, you don't. You just don't know about creative finance. You would buy outside of Atlanta if I showed you a seller finance deal. If I showed you a seller finance deal, you'd buy outside of Atlanta. So that's right. Great answer. And for you, Well, do you have a foam roller?
Appreciate you, bro.
We won't get you something you already have. Do you have a foam roller?
Oh, no, I don't.
Well, you're getting
No,
a
I
foam.
don't.
You're
I
getting.
don't.
I use it literally
Yeah,
every
no.
single day. It's just amazing.
I'll take it. I have bad knees and lower back been hurting recently. So I'm on, bro. I appreciate that.
Dude, I get the lower back stuff too, but the foam roller doesn't solve it. You know which one solves it for me? The lower back one. This move particularly. This one particularly, just like sitting deep into that. The stretch right here is great. Really fix it.
All right. All right.
You gonna come to Oregon?
One day for sure. One day for sure.
He's like, oh, I don't want to go to Oregon.
Yeah, I would 100% like Seattle or like Portland, that area.
I love Seattle. I like Portland more than Seattle, but I like Seattle too. Okay, so we're getting him the foam roller. Continue to check out. We might actually have his info already. Let's just see.
Yeah, I sent you my ID like 3 times.
Here. Doral, still relevant?
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. It's going to be quick. It's going to come August 24th. So that's on Monday. So you get this on Monday. And here's your confirmation of order. Let me know if it doesn't come. All right.
I appreciate it, bro.
All right. Guys, crazy energy during today's live stream. Absolutely loved it. Sometimes you just got to yap. It's the way that it is. And I don't know if we have another speaker after this. Jesimar was on stage, but no pressure to Jesimar. If anybody else wants to go live, even if you're just a community helper and you feel like you can provide some value without leading people down the wrong path, come on up, dog. I'm going to leave the stage open. Group leaders can bring people up and group leaders can come up. So if you want to run a little mastermind right now and it's your moment to shine, let it be your moment to shine, bro. It's fun. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya. God, man, I got a great job. I got a great job. Thanks for letting me do this, guys. Appreciate you. And if you want to join Hold My Hand Wholesale and you're like, that was so sick, I feel like I could do this now. Great. Me too, bro. www.hmhw.group for YouTube. You guys can find the link in my bio, but if you can't find the link in my bio, just Google Hold My Hand Wholesale. We leave all the negative reviews up there and all the positive reviews. It's about, I don't know, for every 100 positive we get, there's usually 1 negative. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I always have such a good time with y'all. So link in bio. Catch you later. Bye-bye.